Welcome to Heist. I'm Bradley Hackworth, joined by Jonathan Ems, otherwise known as Doc. This week we are going to be covering Frequency and The Freshman. And, man, I loved them both. Hands down, flat out, through and through. I have a lot of personal connection to Frequency.
It was interesting because I mentioned this before that this was a movie that I did see in theaters, and I remembered loving it when I saw it in the theater. I just, for some reason, never saw it again after that. Never got around to it, never really aimed for it. I don't recall it like playing on cable much or anything like that.
No, not
so
that
I guess
I
I just
remember.
never thought about it. I forgot almost everything about it except for a couple of key things. I remembered the ending, then it was just as cool the second time around. So it was, and it was a fun movie. That's the thing, is like, it's one of those, like, I don't want to sit here and go like, they don't make movies like this anymore, except they kind of don't. And it's very much like, okay, we've got a premise and we're just going to play with it. There's no,
Grandiosity.
it's not about saving the world. Right, yeah, it's not about saving the world. There's no, it's in fact, the story is not even the story. Like, this is about a boy and his dad. That's the crux of this whole movie. And then you've got your time travel, murder mystery is just kind of a backdrop to these two guys' relationship, and yeah. They don't make movies like this anymore. Something that just is just a good story and doesn't need a lot of flash to it.
Not on the major budget, not major motion pictures.
Not for sure, yeah.
On the indie side, you still find things like this, not in theaters.
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
No. Just gonna get right into it then. All right, Frequency, written by Toby Emmerich, directed by Gregory Hoblit, starring Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel, with Andre Braugher, Shawn Doyle, Elizabeth Mitchell, Noah Emmerich, and a teeny tiny Michael Cera, which is just wild to see.
I did not notice that myself. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
He's actually really fat. He comes in really early in the movie. So
which one is he's one of the? Is he the tiny Caviezel or is he the tiny Emmerich?
He is the adult Emmerich's Gordo Jr.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that actually
Gotcha.
found the ham radio and kicked on the story.
Okay, so that kid had like character and lines and presence, and not for a single second did I go, oh, it's Michael Cera. No, he was just some fucking kid to me the whole time.
Yep,
So
that's it.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Opening on the Sun and playing Crimson and Clover, I flat out love that song. This might be
That is a good
why
song.
I love that song so damn much. Like,
The song was a classic for a reason long before this movie came
but
along.
I didn't know the song. Like, I'm pretty sure
Oh,
this
really?
is
Oh,
where
okay.
I'm pretty
Right,
sure this is
okay.
where I learned it.
This is another one of those moments where I have to recognize that I had a weird childhood. When I was a kid, I used to listen to the oldies station on the radio. I didn't listen to the new rock stations. I listened to the stations that was specifically music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s for most of my teenage years.
I grew up on AC/DC
And that was-
and Metallica.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So
Pretty
that's-
much, yeah.
Most
And
of
Bon
that's
Jovi.
how it was for most of my friends. Yeah, that's how it was for most of my friends. But yeah, I was, Wild Thing and Crimson and Clover and They're Coming to Take Me Away. Those were all some of my favorite songs.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, those are very good songs, but I didn't like key in on those until I was much older.
Yeah.
Basically the internet, like when you were able to start like checking, like Shazamming, I think is what it was called. You could Shazam a
Right.
song and then you could learn about the artist and do all that stuff. That's pretty much where my music knowledge started to expand, because before that I was like, oh, this is nice. And I never ever even thought about it. Once I was on my second deployment and I started actually Supernatural.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
man.
Supernatural was a musical awakening for a lot of people. I'm sure, yeah.
Yep. Every episode, I was listening to that music, and I just started looking up that. I started making playlists. I started looking into the artist. No, Supernatural did an epic job of expanding my musical knowledge. Like,
Sure,
I
yeah.
owe that show a lot. The radio exposition on the Nightingale murders and that quick truck crash. That truck crash, the way that they filmed that, how that was shot, everything about that, that was high tension. I was in it. It roped me right into the movie. That is the benefit of using practical effects.
Yep.
It moves how it would move. Like the physics, if you're a 1% off on the physics when you're going through and rendering something, our brains realize that. Like, whether you
we may not be able to
realize it
put
or
our
not,
finger on why, but yeah.
yeah, we can see when something isn't exactly right. But when you're using practical effects, it is exactly right and it never pulls you out. So just
Yep.
a bygone era that I very much miss. Introducing Randy Quaid as a firefighter, Frank Sullivan, and definitely a heroic character. Like, things are rough.
They established that hardcore right away. He's like, they're looking at the whole scene, and he's the first one to go running in. He's the guy who, when they're saying get out of there, it's gonna blow, he's like, I got these people here to save. Like, they right out of the gate, they go, this dude is the hero of his house, and that's the story. That's who he is. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. Like, he is the guy you want. You want every firefighter to be like that guy. You don't want to be trapped in a house and have somebody go, oh God, what if I get hurt? No, you don't want that guy. You want this guy. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Frank comes home after the fire and to see little Johnny and little Gordo in 1969. And just every single piece about that, just so heartwarming, so welcoming. Like the cheer, the joy, coming home, dancing with Jules, hanging out with this kid. Every single part of that was just absolutely beautiful and heartwarming.
I mean, yeah, we are. Yeah, this guy loves life. His life is good. He's happily married. He loves his kids. He's a
The fact
man
he
of the
calls
people.
his
He's
wife Bud is such a delightful thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you couldn't pour on more about how much of just a generally good guy he is, all the way down to like holding the neighborhood picnic so everyone can watch the game together, you know. And like this is like when they talk about, well, he's a 60s Bronx dude. I mean, like every depiction of Bronx neighborhoods in the 50s and 60s, they all highlight this whole like, now we were fucking communities. Like life in the suburbs ain't like this. We all know our neighbors. We're all friends. We're all family. You know, it's like we grow up together. We work together. Like this is, and he epitomizes that to the extreme. And just lay it all out in the first 10 minutes of this flick. That's who this guy is.
Yeah. Teaching his kid to ride the bike and like, you know, you fall over. You try to ride, you're trying something, you're trying to get good at it, you're gonna fail. Falls over, he runs inside, you know, don't quit on me now. And his mom comes out, don't be so tough on him. And I'm just sitting there going, that was tough?
Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's the first sign of any conflict that we see in this guy's life at all. And that's the fact that maybe he's struggling a little bit of as a dad, but not really. Like almost like they kind of sat there and went like, he can't be a perfect dad, not yet. We got to wait until after this brush with death to turn him into a perfect dad. So what's the one flaw we can give him that won't make him unlikable? He's a little rough on the kid riding the bike thing. And even then, it's like, it's pretty half-assed. Like mom coming in and being like, you know, don't be so rough on him. It's like everybody in the audience is like, whoa. Slow your roll, lady. He didn't punch the kid, you know. It's like
didn't even yell at him. It's just like, hey, come on,
no,
man,
yeah,
don't quit on me. Like, yeah. But that is like very indicative of an overprotective mom. So I mean, I don't really know if that was a knock on him or if that was something towards her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or it is just kind of a random moment to say like, he's not perfect. Not everything's perfect. We've been showing you a lot of Yeah, we've been showing you a lot of signs that this guy's life is perfect. This is the first thing we've seen that's even marginally slightly not perfect.
Yep. And I enjoyed like staring into the sky and seeing the Borealis. And then 30 years later to an adult Johnny in a breakup, way different man than his papa was.
Totally, yeah. No, he is a fucking mess. Yeah.
He really is. Like, but this is a messy moment that we're kind of catching him in, because there are a lot of indications that he actually is kind of a good dude. He's going like he's having a rough time, and it's the 30-year anniversary of his dad's death, which the anniversary effect of drama is a real thing. So that's kind of one of those things that I don't think the movie meant to do, but it did actually kind of maybe accidentally speak to, because of the relationship with Sam.
Right.
Like, because it wasn't that he was, like, they never even mentioned what he was doing wrong. It's just that he's not willing to change. It just kind of seemed like he had his walls up and he wouldn't let her in. That's kind of what I was taking from that. What did you get?
Well, I felt like it was kind of intentionally, like, they didn't want to get too much in the weeds as to what it was, just that he's unhappy, and to kind of basically, like, the through line they're basically saying is, like, since his dad died, his life has been fucked up, because he's generally just an unhappy guy, and his unhappiness is bleeding out everywhere. He's got next to no friends other than the one guy who lives next door who's been there for him his whole life, you know, with Gordo. And then his girlfriend left him. It's just like, it's just sort of generally like his dad died and nothing's gone right for him since, one way or another.
Definitely in a down moment.
Yeah. And so that was the vibe I was getting, was just generally like, he's you know, good guy or not, he has not been in a good place for a long, long time.
No, but I will say
as to why.
If the movie did this intentionally to make me hate Sam, it worked. When she left and called him chief, I was like, oh, mean, rough.
Because I didn't catch that.
There was no indication that was something that was like a pet name between them or anything like that. That like only seemed a thing that his dad said to him. So when she left and she was like, goodbye, chief, I was like, oh, could you have chosen a rougher thing to do? Like that hurt me, man. So I felt like the movie maybe did that, but if that was a name that she was allowed to call him, it also would kind of show that they had a much, much more special relationship than we got to see.
It does kind of color things in a weird way. If it was kind of one of those, like, when they were dating, he was like, by the way, you mind calling me chief when you're alone? Oh,
God, Doc, why'd you have to go there? My brain wasn't even capable of going there. God. Moving on. Flashing back to his childhood, now batting for Johnny's father. That hurt. Like, because that is like when you grow up without a dad. Like when I would like father-son camping trips and stuff like that, you would have to hope that there was somebody who would volunteer to step up so you just could go. Like that was a thing. Like father-son trips when I was a kid, I wasn't even allowed to go on some of them because I didn't have a dad. So that.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah, that was a moment. I feel like that was a moment specifically for guys like me, who when we lost our father, we lived shit like that. It never didn't hurt. Like just crazy to actually highlight. Hey, this guy doesn't have a dad, so we're gonna have somebody pretend to be his dad for a little bit, and we're gonna tell all of you. That was always something that was really weird to me.
That is, yeah.
Like, even as an adult, I cannot understand why they would do that. Why highlight that? I cannot.
It is a little weird.
Yeah. Johnny's house. Oh, dude. Yeah. Like Michael Cera showing up being like, hey, Uncle John. He's like, I'm not your uncle, kid. Like, dude, he is kind of a dick. Like, ouch.
It's like, come on, yeah. Like,
The
you
kid
might
wasn't
as well
even
be.
phased
Everybody
at
can.
all. So that
Right,
was something
yeah.
that was a pretty common thing, I felt like.
Well, and clearly this kid takes after his dad. They've made themselves at home. He's like cooking in it, he's drinking his beer, cooking it, in his kitchen. The kid's there playing his in television or whatever the fuck it is that baseball game. It's like they've, mom kicked them out of the house and they're just like, we'll just go hang out at my buddy's house and just, like we live there already, all the way down to like when they send the kid into the closet to find the fishing gear. That kid doesn't miss a heartbeat. When he sees that chest with the firefighter symbol on it, he's already got it out of the closet before they've even noticed what he's doing. He's like, check this shit out. Like, that kid thinks he owns this fucking house.
Well,
So-
I mean, like him and his dad, him and Gordo did wait for permission for him. So I will give him a little bit on that one. But you are right.
Okay,
Like,
fair.
if I had a little kid running through my place pulling out all my old military totes and stuff like that, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? like that
Right,
would be a moment. But then again, they've been next door neighbors since they were kids, and since this kid was presumably born. There's,
Right.
I see it.
They're probably not wrong. He's just in a mood. Is probably,
Yes. Finding that old ham radio and then be like, so this is what people used before the net? Just hearing the phrase the net?
The net. I know, me too, right? I was like, oh my God, wow.
This is definitely a 90s movie.
Yeah.
Which, I forgot to bring this up earlier. They brought this, and the writer of this went on to be the executive producer of the TV show for this, which only went for one season, and it was in 2016 and 2017.
You know what? I remember going to watch that series because I remembered the movie and I knew I liked it. I don't think I finished the series, and I don't know why.
I don't remember ever checking out even a single episode. At that point,
Okay.
I did not have cable, and I had just moved to LA, and wow, I did not have time for anything. Like,
Right, yeah.
nope.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I didn't finish it. But yeah, I do remember at least watching one or two episodes because I remembered the movie, and I was like, oh, seeing that story play out, spread out in a deeper context in 13 episodes, this might be amazing. But yeah, I didn't get
We'll have to
past the
track
first couple episodes, and I honestly cannot remember why.
Oh, we'll have to check that out, try and track it down, and see if maybe it actually did get better as it went on.
Yeah.
So yeah, the wife calls the Gordos home, and Johnny calls his mama, which I was like, man, he's having a down day, everything like that. Call your mom. Very understandable, everything like that, especially
Sure.
considering what the following day was, or the day after next was going to be. The background exposition on the Aurora Borealis and string theory, that is how I enjoy exposition. In the background. Where if you are listening, you key in on it. If you aren't listening on it, you're just watching the rest of the movie, and you'll find out eventually.
Sure, yeah.
I think that
Yeah, it's not bad.
that is a preferred method of exposition. Or to cut all the way back to Willy's Wonderland, and proper use of an insert shot, just insert shots of showing who the character's history is, and then never talking about it again. Like that. I know you hated that movie, but it does not help. It does not change the fact it did some things right.
Okay, if you say so.
Just to remind you, we went from doing Freeway and the Bone Collector and the insert shots from Freeway into, again, insert shots from like the Bone Collector and this. Or yeah. No, I was on a little bit of a tangent because I really hated Matthew Bright's use of insert shots. They
Okay.
were so unnecessary, and I was on like a 3-week kick of how much I hated them. The radio kicks on, and he has a talk with his dad. Has fun, and then an argument about game 1 of the '69 World Series. This
neither of them realize yet who they're talking to.
No, not even a little bit. It's just, Frank and John and all this. And when he gets up and he has that crack in the window and everything like that, and you see that crack go through time, I thought that was a really nice way to show us what the mechanics of the story was going to be without getting too much into detail. Even though with the wallet,
exactly.
They did go into detail with the wallet, but they really didn't. So
yeah, they didn't really need to. It was
No, they didn't. They just kind of trusted the audience, and well, you know how much I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Singing Johnny to bed and John singing himself to bed. That was like doing those scenes like that was wildly powerful. Just showing the effects. Like this guy is just still like he has never moved on. He wildly loved his dad, and he just he's still trying to like glum on to the last time that he had the man that influenced him in such a positive light. Like he's just trying to hold on to that. I thought that was beautiful, man. The baseball party at the house with Andre Braugher. There's so much happiness in this scene and how much fun they're having in the community feel. Everything that you were saying a little bit about like movies and stuff like that back in the 60s and 50s, where it was all about the community and Leave It to Beaver and all that stuff. This movie had that feel. It absolutely had that feel. And like every time we flash back to the 60s until things got rough, it had an air of happiness to it.
That's the thing, and I've wondered about that myself because I've never lived in any neighborhoods like that. I've always been in either suburban areas where my closest neighbor was some hoity-toity lawyer that didn't talk to kids, or well, that's not entirely true. I'll caveat this, but it's like even growing up, it was like all low rent housing where basically, see no evil, hear no evil is the policy on all things. That's basically how it is. Mm-hmm. When growing up, actually, when I was really young, the first house I lived in, I was friends with a couple people on my block. But it was never. There was never any of that community. Like no one in my neighborhood ever got together to host, a TV watching party in their front yard or anything like that. No one gave out baseball tickets to all the kids, in my neighborhood. At best was on Halloween. We all knew who gave out the full size candy bars, and that was it. That was it. That was the full extent to my neighbor's my neighborhood's neighborness,
Well, in my where I'm from, softball weirdly is like a really big thing. So when they'd have like intramural softball teams and tournaments and all that, everybody would show up and go to those games. So we had little aspects of that, but I grew up in North Dakota. It wasn't just the entire state was. We didn't have cities. There aren't any cities in North Dakota. There's 4 big towns, and then 200 little ones. That's it. Like there is no city.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think there is a building in North Dakota over 30 stories tall.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I know technically I grew up in the Portland metro area, technically, but I was in Oak Grove, which is like way like bumping up against the urban growth boundary line. Sure. And so it was like okay, have you seen that cartoon on Netflix, Big Mouth? Have you watched that?
A couple episodes. Yeah, it was ridiculously hilarious.
Okay, so the character that Jason Mantzoukas, the character he does?
Don't remember.
Don't remember. Okay. Okay. Because basically his family, there's one character in there, his family, he's got the constantly drunk mom, cheating lawyer dad, 2 psycho brothers, and a dog, and he's just kind of the weirdo kid, like down in the middle of that. That was my whole neighborhood growing up. That was every family in my neighborhood.
Wow. I was the weird one. Everywhere we went, we were the weird family. I was the weird one. Like everything. No, like everybody else was decently normal. And when I say normal, I mean literally like societally normal. Most people that I came across in North Dakota, like nice people, decent people, not very interesting people.
Right.
They never really, like, most of them never broke the mold in any way. So that's like, I mean, so like I said, like how this was represented in the 60s, a lot of people just basically wash, rinse, and repeat. Like they just did exactly what their parents did, all that, and they just kind of stayed in the same traditions. I tried to find some of the weird ones, but like I said, just not that many.
Right.
And, yeah, maybe 4 or 5. But, you know, a lot of it else was just kind of a healthy amount of decent teenage rebellion. And then once we became adults, they kind of reverted back to exactly what was expected of them. And yeah, I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with that if you have the ability to be happy with that. I am not one of those people.
Sure, yeah. I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing is when I watch movies like this that show that sort of like the New York neighborhood, you know, conclave family, you know, extended family of all your neighbors, and everybody knows each other because they've all been living next door to each other for 4 generations.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little jealous. I wonder
Definitely.
what it would have been like to live like that. But also at the same time, the weird thing is when I think about it, I also get like super anxiety about it because at the same time, because it's like, Jesus, I have a hard enough time with the 2 friends I got. Imagine if I had 12 of these motherfuckers around, always coming into my house like they own the place. Jesus Christ, you know. So it's a back and forth, you know.
No, I definitely understand where you're coming from with that, because I'm right there with you. Like, I at times would enjoy being the kind of person capable of that, I think, but the rest of the time I just live in reality and go, I'm not capable of being that kind of person. So life shook out the way it was meant to, I guess, because I didn't have that growing up. But to a certain degree, when I met most of my friends when I was like 4 years old, it didn't matter where we moved to. It's like, no, that's my friend. I'm gonna walk 5 miles as a 7-year-old to go hang out with my buddy. Like, that was, but small town. You don't have a plethora of people to go make new buddies with. So
no, for sure. And you know, for the short time that I lived in a place like Idaho, that was easy to do, because when you live in a town like Boise, everywhere is only like a 10-minute bike ride away.
Yep.
But back in Portland, that's less less convenient, when it would be a 10-minute bike ride, if not for a fact it's a 90-degree incline in both directions, and so it's going to take you 2 hours.
Oh, that side of Portland. Ooh, nope.
Yeah.
Hell no. East side of Portland, a little bit easier, but yeah, no.
A little bit easier, yeah. Yeah, but no, up in the hills, yeah. If I changed schools, it was like, I will never see any of you ever again. Goodbye.
That's pretty much like when I moved down to LA, that's what everybody was like. It's like, honestly, you don't really have friends here, because if they move to a different neighborhood, you never see them. Like, so that was like the kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I got a friend that lives over here. I haven't seen him in like 4 years. I'm like, why? Like, just don't feel like driving over there. I'm like, that's not a friend. Like, I'm sorry, man. You have an acquaintance that lives over there that you're calling your friend because you want to keep things good. That is not your friend. That is ridiculous. If you, like, come on now. Like, somewhat understandable that I have seen almost nobody that I grew up with in the 13 years that I've left North Dakota. However, I left a state and moved multiple states away. And North Dakota is one of the most expensive states to fly to or from, because nobody does it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
That price is huge. So that's a little bit more understandable. So it's like, yeah, if I don't see one of those friends for 5 years, right. if any of them lived 10 minutes away and I didn't see them for 5 years, I wouldn't consider them a friend. I wouldn't consider me their friend. I wouldn't consider them mine. That's just somebody I know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right. Showing up to a crime scene in the future with Andre Braugher, little bit rougher because you see the happy Andre from the past, or Satch from the past, and then you see this is a dude that lost his best friend 30 years ago and has been watching his best friend's son disrespect and trash himself for years. Things have changed for this man. Like,
he's not as happy as he was, for sure. He is a different dude.
Finding a skeleton from the Nightingale murders, and then finding it, like, then he's going to do like neighborhood door duty. We find the killer, but we don't know at that point. This is a great movie to watch twice. This is a fantastic
yes, it really is.
Movie to watch twice. Over to Mom's House, played by Elizabeth Mitchell. Funny. She is 1 year younger than Jim Caviezel. Did a good job as a mom, though.
Yes.
Like, yes, the makeup wasn't perfect, but it was good.
She came off as a Southie ma. She was, you know, she had the accent, she had the attitude. She was like, I love you, but you're a dumbass kind of thing going on. Like, yeah, she was great.
I really enjoyed her.
You know,
I really enjoyed the dynamic of, like, he's kind of being casual about Sam, and his mom completely knows. He doesn't have to say anything. She just knows. I love when you get like mother or like parental figures or that are like that, where they just even without you saying something, they absolutely know not just that something's wrong, but because of how you're reacting, what it is. I really love characters like that. Reminiscing about the dad was just charming. But then the flash to dad unknowingly trying to reach out to his son. I loved that. Like, hey, unknown station in Queens, like all this. He's literally searching the airwaves for his own son, and he had no idea.
And it's pretty well, you know, it's pretty well set up because even in their first conversation, he does kind of give him some gruff. He's like, hey, you know, you don't have a license. You're not supposed to be on the airwaves. So you need to fuck off the airwaves. And, you know, the older Johnny basically says, he's like, look, I'm kind of having a shit day and I need someone to talk to. And he immediately switches because why? Because as we've established early in the movie, this motherfucker's a hero. He is a hero. Yeah. All you got to do is give him a single sign of distress and he's like, I'm here for you. And not only is he here for you, he's checking up on you the next night. Like, hey, you out there, kid? You know, like let me know you're still out there and you're okay. Come talk to me. Like,
I think no. He wasn't going out for like because of the distress thing. He wanted to know how he called Buford's home run.
That's right. I forgot. He did call. That's right. He did drop some info on the World Series on him. That's right. Okay. Yeah. Well,
so then he goes through and he talks about game 2. He talks about like what's going to happen next and all this. And then when he hears his dad call his son Little Chief, that was where everything starts flipping around. Asks him his name and shit gets going. And I got to say, the panic as
figures it out real quick.
Yeah, the panic as he reveals the details of his dad's life and everything like that and all of this. Randy Quaid's reaction and the panic and the protective nature that he goes under, so unbelievably believable. Wait a minute, that is a weird way to say that. So wildly believable. Like that. I felt that. I felt the Papa Bear. I felt everything about that go in. And then, the son, John in the future starts going in. It's like just like the Buxton warehouse fire and talking about like they always said that you were just following your instincts, and if you would have gone the other way, like just doing it. Like he thinks that like he realizes. I mean, let's be realistic. He thinks that he's talking to his dad and everything like that. and he has taken literally every desperate shot that he possibly could to try to save his father's life. Here's where this is wildly powerful for me. My father died 33 years ago. So the concept of being able to have a conversation with him, tell him the man that I've become, maybe say, hey, take this fucking day off work. Don't drive to work today, you know, take us to the beach and maybe we can have a life with you.
Right.
That is a goddamn fantasy that I had my entire childhood. Just living in the fantasy world of what if, who would I be? How much better would I be? Like, all the things that I would be capable of if only I was raised with a father. This is a movie for guys like me, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I think it can be universally beloved because of how good it is. But I really, I'm claiming this.
Sure. All right, that's fine. Yeah.
When Quaid starts living out what John told him, honestly, his kind of curiosity, his panic, his wonder, everything that is happening in that moment, Randy Quaid wears that expertly.
Yeah, well, it's because and everybody kind of around notices because it's basically like, hey, his baseball team just, won another game in the World Series. Why isn't he celebrating with the rest of us? And the reason why is because he's realized it's all coming together. He's like, they didn't just win the game. They won in exactly the way the guy on the radio said last night. And the guy on the radio also said, I'm dying today. Like, this is a very, and you can see all of that as he's just like, he's kind of stone cold, barely moving through every scene because you can just see the whole like, fuck going on in his head,
Like I said, he wears it expertly. Randy Quaid did a phenomenal job in this role. Entering the abandoned warehouse to. Dennis Quaid did a phenomenal job in this role. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm a little messed up because I wound up seeing a meme that said Dennis Quaid should have been named Jack Quaid. Jack Quaid should have been named Dennis Quaid. Randy Quaid was named appropriately. I haven't been able to stop laughing about that, and I've been crossing their names ever since I saw that meme. This is okay. The accuracy of the fireman low walk, where they're trying to get across the warehouse floor without breaking the floors and all that. That is absolutely real world. That was a great touch. I loved it. But every single person in this scene, save the 3 actors that we're familiar with, they were all real firefighters.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So
it kind of like, I don't know if you did any study on the writer. I know we know that this is like his one writing credit, and from here he went on to be a producer of a lot of stuff. But I mean, that's like, considering all that, like, was this guy's dad a firefighter that died in a fire? Because it's like, that's a lot of very personal, accurate shit that's all being piled into this one movie. And so that's like kind of like where you got to ask yourself, like, was this a personal project for him? Especially considering it's the one and done movie he did that he wrote. Yeah. So
that's a really good point. Hoblit must have had something. Wait, was that Hoblit? I'm sorry. Or did I just name the director?
I think Hoblit was the director, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Toby Emmerich. That's the writer. He did this one and done. And if this is the one that he did do, you really, it wouldn't be too difficult to imagine that this is something that is wildly personal. That's a good question. I think I'll look into that over this week. Meeting up with the other two to celebrate his father's death and the 30 years and just reminisce about it. Very good time. Very nice scene. Very good scene. Getting a cop kid. Oh, that moment where he's talking about getting a cop kit and being like going around and arresting Gordo all that time.
Right, which we saw in the bike riding scene. In the bike riding scene, he's wearing his police badge, while he's trying to learn how to ride the bike. Yep.
Goes against, so back to the dad in the past, goes against his instincts, and his son saves the father. All of these memories begin to shift, and the imagery of the helmet and the glass and them falling together was a very beautiful way to do that, and it was the first of 3 times they did it in the movie. Fun fact about this scene, when Dennis Quaid ripped his helmet off and throw out the window, because he did that while he was sliding down that ladder, he got cut and he had to get 16 stitches because he didn't have his head protection.
Dude, Denny, come on, man.
Well, I mean, that was the thing. That was when he that really shows the importance of basically every single thing that a firefighter goes in with.
No, it's true. That is a very good point.
An actor doing that couldn't even pretend to do it.
You know what I've always been impressed by is I think it's called a halogen. I can't remember for sure, but it was the in the beginning of the movie. It's no. It's the metal bar tool that he uses to open up the manhole in the beginning of the movie. It's like this. It's like a combination fire poker, crowbar. It's like a specific fireman's multi-tool kind of thing. Oh, you do? Okay. See, I'd never seen them anywhere other than in firefighter movies, and I was like, I feel like every house should have one of those. It's got so many uses, but I only ever see them in firefighter movies, and so yeah.
I'm trying to remember what they're called. I think we just nicknamed it the Key to the City.
That's a good name. That's a good name for it. Yeah. I only know what they're called because I watched Rescue Me, and they called them Haligans, I think, in those. So yeah.
Okay. I honestly I can't remember what the name of that was, but I remember when we were going through our instructor course, the guy who was running it and teaching us, he's like, "This is the key to the city," and I was like, "Okay." Definitely gonna keep calling it that because I never even remembered what it was actually called. So that's a fun one. The fact his father no longer died from a fire, but instead of lung cancer. Quaid on that boat after the rescue scene, just screaming "Little Chief" to the sky. Dude, that was a great inclusion. Like small thing, wonderful thing. Very good job. Johnny and Dad out for another try at riding bike, another chance at life. Because that's what he got, and he knows that he got it. And he realized that everything that his son did lose everything, and now he is immediately going in to make up for the time that he didn't lose.
Yep.
I really loved how he did that. The aspect
and taking his wife's advice too. He's prefacing it with, "I'm always going to be here. I'm not going to let go until you tell me to." He's adding that extra kind of all right, I'm doing this, Yeah.
Yeah, the aspect of what they had, spirit and guts, that was a very good thing. And then he succeeds at riding the bike, and just again, a very heartwarming moment. John returns home to look over all the new facts of his life. Sees his dad burning the message. What a message, man. That message, it really, man, it was good. I'm still here, Chief. Very simple, wildly powerful, and let's just give a little bit of praise here to how amazing it looked as he was burning it, and and Johnny was.
It was a really good effect. Yeah,
it was. Outstanding. I could not track anything. It was great.
Yeah.
What a shot.
Pretty sure that was non-CGI as well, so yeah.
No, good. Don't know how they did it. Yep. I'm missing behind the scenes right now. When his dad tells him that he's the voice of an angel, reached right out of heaven and pulled me out of that fire. Yes, I did cry a few times watching this. I'm having a little bit of a hard time not getting a little bit too emotional just thinking about just thinking about it. It was terrific. Like, but I'm talking way too much here, Doc. You got anything to say on this, man?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my main, like, what I was gonna talk about at the end of this scene, because we have them, now that they're both realizing what's happening here. Dad's just been saved. He's talking about how he's got all these new memories of both lives, and it's like, I just woke up from a dream and I don't know what's real, but his dad is still gone, died of cancer, just basically got an extra 20 years apparently, which doesn't seem to have changed a whole lot. He's still living alone in that house. His girlfriend still left him. He's still kind of a shitty cop.
Actually, no, his girlfriend didn't leave him. He never met her.
Oh, see, we're not really ever made clear on that one, because he doesn't realize that they never met until after the change about his mom. So we don't know which came first there.
That was okay. So that's where I may need to watch this like 7 or 8 more times just to try to track down whether these are actual paradoxes or not, because there were some lines, because realistically, once the first thing happened, everything should have cascaded from there. There should not have been a matching timeline between, like, while they were following the same flow of time, and when a change happened in the past, it would happen in the future. But the thing is, they just didn't give a shit about that in this movie. And that's what actually kind of made it work.
In this movie, they basically established early on, this is the mechanic for this story. We only bring Brian Greene in for 5 seconds to explain the idea of quantum entanglement, and then we shoo him out and we tell our story. We don't need any more physics here, so.
Yeah. No, that was plain and simple. Just enough to make it's like, hey, science, and that was about it.
Right? Yeah. Yep. But what I found interesting was how, like, we have this big scene, where he's up all night talking to his dad, telling him about everything that's happened in his life, and and Dad's even trying to give him some advice. Like, there's even just like a momentary thing of just like, you got to get the girl back, like really doing dad advice stuff,
Well, that was that
usually
my next note.
that usually in a movie like this, that is usually the climax. That's the end of the movie. The whole movie is about them figuring out that they're talking to each other over time, and now he's been able to do something about that. And in this movie, that's not the end of the story. That's actually the beginning, because there's so much more left to happen. We've established this. We've established this, that they figured out they're talking to each other through time. He saved his dad's life and changed the timeline, and now the movie starts, because a butterfly effect of a serial murder basically is set off.
Which the dude who wrote this executive produced Butterfly Effect, so I mean,
right. I feel like maybe he might have had some had a minor obsession with a little bit of this, maybe.
I'm thinking Toby Emmerich might be somebody that I need to pay a little bit more attention to, because I do not know who he is, but everything that he touches I've liked, which I need to know what the hell is going on here, because why is this not a name I know? We all know Kevin Feige.
Right, yeah.
We all know Dick Wolf.
Yep.
Why don't I know Toby Emmerich?
It's a good question.
Like,
I mean, they are a small number. I mean, even though, all the movies he's produced are kind of epically, even if not good, at least well known. But there's like, 10, 15 total? Like, he doesn't have an extensive body of work. It's a very tight body of work, it seems like. I looked at his IMDb yesterday. I could be wrong.
No, there are more. Like, recently, it seems like he's been making some misses, because he was one of the executive producers of The Flash, and it seems like he went in for the DCEU, and that was not a good call for anybody. Like, right. I got faith in James Gunn. If he can get out of this little thing that he's in where he is completely stuck with his comedic formula, if he can just shake that a little bit, because yeah, it's a fun formula, but not every character, it doesn't make sense to have that formula for every character. And he has it for every character. So I'm just really hoping that that has nothing to do with Superman, because that does not make sense to have with that character. If Jimmy Olsen
we will see.
is the character in that movie that it acts like that, perfect. Just good God, dial it in a little bit. Here's the scene. One of the best scenes of the movie, most heartfelt for me. Just literally the father and son getting to know each other. Literally, that just talking, that's it. Just talking to the guy that you wished your whole life you could have had a conversation with. That is it. The power in that. And then when it's late and he said, like, the son comforting his dad, like, we'll find it again, like, we'll have it again. That was an interesting dynamic, because I kind of expected Quaid to be the one to do that. But
yeah,
I like, when you think about that though, if you get a glimpse at your child that is 6 years old and or 10 years old, whatever, and you get a glimpse into what he is going to become, would you ever want to let that go? Or would you just want to keep that
that's a good question.
going?
I've thought about that too. Yeah. Because I remember, because that's the thing. When this movie came out and I saw it in the theaters, I had, a kid that was 2 years old, and and I don't think my next one was on the way just yet, but definitely coming up. My second kid was born like a year later.
Hold on a second. Your daughter is 27?
Yeah. I know.
She's a teenager. She's a teenager. What? Are you fucking with me?
Nope. I wish I was, believe me.
All right.
But that being said, yeah, if I had a magic radio where, while the little rugrat is running around, I'm talking to them on the radio, and they're telling me like, oh yeah, I've become a cop. I mean, I wouldn't have taken it as well as Quaid did. I would have been like, you're a cop? Fuck you.
Not me, man. Like,
where did I go wrong? Was this because of your mom? Did your mom do this to you? Like, come on.
No, like you gotta imagine, like, pretty much in that situation, if you find out anything other than, like, if I had a kid and I was in that situation and that kid, like, and this happened or anything like that, if that kid told me literally anything other than I'm in prison right now for, SAing people and stuff like that, dude, I would not care. I'm like, you are alive? You are happy?
That is a good point.
You are doing something?
Yeah.
Like I don't care. I don't care how you feel about what you're doing. I'm just proud of you for doing it. Like but
that is true.
Point,
no, that is true.
How nervous John was to tell his dad he was a cop, felt it. That was a very well acted moment. Like that was good. And the whole montage of history and them saying goodbye is a wild ride. And saying I love you to a deceased father of 30 years.
Right.
Like, not just saying it to his grave or his headstone.
Yeah, and it's really like, and it's interesting too, because you can feel that in every conversation they have from that point on, that they acknowledge that they don't understand how this is happening. Maybe they kind of, sort of, I don't know, like, the audience is clued in that it's attached to. Right, yeah, and the audience is clued in that it's attached to the Aurora Borealis somehow, but not really, clued into exactly how that is. But they don't really understand exactly what's going on, and so every time they sign off with each other, they're both acknowledging this could be it. We don't know what's causing this, and we don't know if it'll work tomorrow. So this might be the last time we talk to each other. So let's let's make sure we've said what needs to be said before we sign off. And they do that, like, they have like 4 more conversations like this, and they treat every goodbye that way.
John just riding the absolute wild high of everything, talking to his son, doing all this, goes to visit his wife, and then very bad things happen. Because if she, as the nurse, would not have been there, the Nightingale murderer would have died.
Right.
Which we find out later on.
And that would, right. But that, yeah, no, he is so, like, yeah, he's so happy to be alive. He nearly bones her right there in the middle of the hospital in front of everybody. Like, this dude, he's just like, shows up at the hospital. Hello, my wife. I'm supposed to be dead, but I'm not. I just talked to our son 30 years in the future, and he's doing awesome. You do not know how happy I am. I'm going to sit here and make out with you and dance with you until, in the middle of the hospital, right in front of everybody. Like, this dude is so fucking happy to be alive. Like, it is kind of crazy, yeah.
And you can feel it. Dennis Quaid knows how to really sell it.
Mm-hmm.
The new memories of his mom's funeral forming in his sleep. Yeah, that was like that imagery was very painful. They did a good job filming that. They did a good job of that. That was very well done. Mama's number doesn't work anymore, and Sam doesn't know him anymore. And things, like, a lot of things are changing. So with his mother being dead, kind of get the sign that he never really opened himself up to another woman and all of that, which is why he never connected with Sam. Like, he has completely closed himself off since his mother's murder. Like, you look at the photos that he has with his dad. He's not wearing a baseball shirt anymore. He's, like, moody, and he looks like an emo teen with just, like, all the black and stuff like that, because he has wildly changed. So,
yeah,
I thought,
as bad as he took his dad's death, he took his mom's death even harder. He's become even more of a asshole.
Yeah, and that's something that I really enjoyed that they showed us, that because they never told us. They just showed physical signs, like the clothing and the little changes in the photos, but they never actually said it. And that beautiful job of just having that be in the having that be background exposition. That was a very good job. Satch seems like a way different character. Like, that was the thing. Like, when Andre Braugher,
he's like,
but only in that bathroom.
He's mean now.
Yeah, only in that bathroom. As soon as he comes back out of there, he is right back to the same character that we saw before all the changes. So I don't think that he actually was a different character, but just the way that Caviezel walks in there, I actually did really appreciate what Braugher said as Satch, which is, don't disrespect me, John. Disrespect yourself all you want, but don't disrespect me or anybody else here. And that is a good boss. That is a good leader. That is just showing, like, you don't, like, no, our relationship is outside of here. You want to bring that here, you're going to be gone. That is the healthy boundary of a good leader. So I was a little bit worried when he came into the bathroom and we saw that character shift. But when he came out and he realizes that John doesn't know his own mother was murdered by the Nightingale murder, he, like, the concern comes back.
He's very weirded out, yeah.
Yeah, the concern comes back. Very, very, like, he's more soft with him. Like, that is nephew Johnny. Like, that's Uncle Satch. Like, that is where Uncle Satch kicks back up. And I did appreciate that. But Caviezel's reaction when he sees his own mother's file, dude, that was, I mean, because that's really where this movie begins.
Right.
Like, and yes. Holy crap, I went through quite a few notes. Okay. So, jumping back on the radio with his dad. His dad is super happy that he was able to reconnect with him and all this. But John is all about, like, right into panic mode with his dad as they're trying to figure out the butterfly effect. This is where we actually see the effect that his dad had on him. Because his dad just wants to take his mom and protect her and all this. But Johnny, straight up, he is a morally sound man. He feels responsible for all of the other women's deaths, and he knows that because he's responsible for it, they got to do something about it. He doesn't get hyper selfish
Right, exactly.
and just, no, I got my mom back, I got my dad back. Like, no, let's just go do this. He actually steps up to be a morally heroic character, and I really appreciate that.
And his dad is panicking at first, like we're getting out of town. But he doesn't take that much convincing. As soon as Johnny drops no, there's still like 6 other women that weren't supposed to die that we got to save. And his dad's like, fuck, okay, yeah, I'm in. Like, it's, these two aren't going to fight over the morality of this.
He's going to do it, but he is in because he knows it's the right thing to do. And I loved that.
Yep.
I loved the, just like, not morally superior, but just morally on point. Like it is like
we get there's been a rise of the sort of like the anti-hero or the reluctant hero kind of trope that we've had in a lot of years, because there's there's some level of relatability, there's even some level of comedy to it, and if you've got to have a conflict, it's easier if it's an inner conflict than an outer one. But yeah, I do kind of miss just the straightforward, no, like, we're not going to argue the ethics or the morality here. That part is clear. If you can save someone, save someone. Don't sit there and go like, oh, but what if it's hard? Like, no, we're not gonna fuck with that here. Everyone here is Spider-Man. Okay, you're doing it because you can and you want to. So,
hell yeah, both of these men were Uncle Ben. 100%. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep.
Then so he sends his dad to, like, we're working through this through time. He knows who the victims are, so he sends his dad to go watch one, gets into the bar, and because, Dennis Quaid is, Dennis Quaid in a firefighter jacket, the ladies buy him some drinks. And I did appreciate, I like that line. Like, they didn't even let the, those characters, they didn't even let them be slimy. They didn't let anybody be slimy in this movie. They see like, oh, a married firefighter. What the hell? Just join us and we'll just have some fun. Like, it wasn't, oh, what the hell? I'm going to go for it anyway. They were just good people. Like, this whole movie had nothing but good people and one bad guy.
Right.
Man, what a bad guy. Like, dude, what we find out here in a minute. Yeah, fine. Okay, we went there. John gets to meet his young mom, and the amount of awkwardness in there, they didn't go too far. They didn't hold it back. It was perfect. It was the perfect awkwardness, everything like that. The wild joy that you see across Jim Caviezel as he is getting to do this. And like how much like he sells that his mind is being blown talking to himself as a younger child. And this, okay, in this scene, this was my favorite moment because we can all relate to this. Your childhood best friend wanting to make things about him at the same time. Like, it can't just be about him, it's gotta be about me too. Dude, every single one of us who had a good friend when we were 9-10 years old, that is exactly what that was like. And just watching him go, oh my God, Gordo. Like, I basically just put myself in the same shoes. And I'm like, oh my God. And any one of mine, I'm like, dude, that is exactly the decision to add that in there was such a wildly charming detail for this film. Just all of those little things all put together. Like you said, we don't really get stuff like this in the major budgets anymore. TV,
no, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Independent films, sure. But they don't throw everything into giving us stories like this anymore. And
no.
A little bit of a bummer.
And I think that's kind of the transitional thing that's happening. I mean, I think that's the expectation, is that we have our long form and our short form. We have the short form, which is the movies. The long form is the TV shows. If you want something that goes super in depth, it has that attention to detail. Then, it's the TV shows that do that now. It's starting to get a little tougher because, that high demand of, and we've talked about this before about how I'll give a TV show its first 3 episodes, and if it catches me, it catches me. If not, I'll move on. But at the same time, we also know that most TV shows don't catch their audience until they've hit a stride sometimes later on down the road, and it's kind of unfair to not give them that chance. But that's the transition we're having now. Now that if you've got a movie that is a much simpler premise and is more character oriented, and doesn't call for a $50 million saving the world budget, they're not going to make that movie. Hollywood's like, if you can expand that to 8 episodes, you can make it into a TV show. And if you're lucky, and then sometimes it's a case, and we're still kind of accustomed to, if you're going to make 8 episodes of a TV show, we expect it to be something that can go on forever if it's a hit.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we're kind of caught in a rock and a hard place. We're in this transition right now.
So many movies that are out now, basically a $50 million Act 3 with a giant sky beam or something like that. This movie's giant sky beam was Dennis Quaid underneath a pier. Like, that was the epic climactic moment.
Exactly.
Like, and it really sold. But no. The actual ending is chef's kiss. So they do save her, and next up it's time to save Sissy Clark. And Dad goes to the club, and I'm not gonna lie. I was wondering how the hell his wife was so cool with him just going off to the bar and going to the club and everything. There was never anything about that. He was just going out.
Right, yeah, I thought that was weird too. We do kind of catch it later on, because like part of it is that, she also works nights, and apparently because he's from the neighborhood, anybody can watch his kids sleep. So he just takes off. Or he just lies to her and says that he's got to go be at the station tonight, in case there's a call, That's what we find out later on, is because during this second run night, when he's hanging out at the club, when they ask his wife, like, where was he last night? She was like, he was working. And yeah, so.
Doesn't look good.
It probably wouldn't have worked, on the 3rd or 4th night. She might have started getting suspicious, but, it didn't need to go on that long. He's already fucked up night 2.
Here's kind of, this is what I think, like, maybe a plot hole, maybe not. Just, I think is a little bit of a fucked situation. He finds a way to communicate with his now, 30-year deceased father, and he doesn't tell his dad's best friend.
Well, who would believe him?
What? Bring Satch over for a beer and kick the radio on. Don't tell him. Show him. That was because if I had a best friend that died 30 years ago, and then he was able to make phone calls or something, and I didn't get to be one of those.
Right.
Oh, when I die, I'm kicking ass.
I'm getting vengeful ghost revenge for that one. Yeah.
But I felt bad for Satch because of that. I'm like, this dude is miserable too.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
No, but that was something that I don't know how that could have affected the story. It wouldn't have changed anything from the past or anything like that. But I feel like Satch could have had a moment, but it would have definitely changed the movie. But so I don't know how I feel about that. I just felt bad that the dude didn't get to talk to his best friend at all, especially because John got to talk to Johnny, Little Gordo, and his mom. So we find out that it does work that way. It's not just the two of them. So that was a moment. The dad at the club and the son in the interrogation. This is a line that I have never forgot. Of all the things in this movie that I have forgotten, when he throws the pictures across the table during the interrogation, and then he shows a picture of his mom, says, "Does she mean anything to you?" And then the way he says, "Well, she means something to me." You do understand why Jim Caviezel has a fucking career.
Yeah.
I mean, he has gone. He has some.
He had a career.
No, he still has one. What happened with that movie that he did about the child trafficking and everything like that? I feel bad for him because him and the director have done everything they can to distance themselves from that movie. So I can't I'm not gonna because I mean, when you're an actor, you're contracted into something, you got to jump in on something. Like there's the 3 movies you do, like you contract to do for the studio, so you can do the one movie that you actually want to do. So to throw the hatred on the actors, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The people who produced the shit, they deserve it all. That I'll say.
That's fair. Yeah. I just that was kind of my thing going through this movie. Like I could feel the weight of the tragedy of this because we're watching Caviezel, we're watching Quaid, and we're watching Braugher, and I'm sitting here going like, this is such a great piece of work. One of them's dead, and the other 2 basically became QAnon weirdos. And I'd say that those are like equal tragedies of loss, that we've got this example of what great talent and heartful artistry we have at our fingertips here, and it's all gone now. One of them, blessed, died of natural causes, but the other 2 just kind of lost themselves, but it's the same loss. It's that same grief of something that was great that is now something else, and so I kind of as much as I was enjoying watching this movie a second time, I kept getting these pangs of just it's God, this.
I will say that for Andre Braugher, yes. The others didn't care. Because I'm not watching them. I'm watching their performances. I'm not going to tune in. Like, if they kick up a radio show or they do a podcast about QAnon and all that stuff, I'm out. I'm not going to pay attention to that. However, I'm not going to rob myself of the enjoyment of their unbelievable talent.
Yeah, and that's fair. I get that, but it
is hard at times. Like it is hard. Like a Michael Jackson music video where he's surrounded by children. I can listen to the song. I can't watch the video anymore.
Well, like we were talking about Meteor Man last time, about Bill Cosby and Meteor Man. Same thing. There's no reason why we should be punishing ourselves when we're watching that, but it happens because he's right there, and all the shit that and so you can't help but be affected by it, and
that is true.
In case of this,
if I didn't have such extreme love for Quaid, maybe. I just the love is too high. The love for his performances, they're too high. Caviezel, not that big of a fan of him, but what he's done and I do enjoy. I'm not going to let that be ruined because of something else like that.
And that's fair.
You go all the way through. You just don't want to learn about celebrities. Almost all of them suck.
Right.
The people who dig in on them and stuff like that is dude, if you keep digging, you're don't meet your hero. Just don't. It never goes right. It never goes well. I've had it go terribly time after time after time with the people that I've looked up to. I will way throw credit to people like Steve Bloom and Aldous Hodge and Jonathan Frakes, and I mean the list goes on and on about the good ones that I've met, but the list of the bad ones that I've met is basically just as long, and I haven't met that many. I shouldn't have this many bad stories about these people considering how few of them I've met. It's wild. But at the same time, Jonathan Frakes, my God, how that man never played Santa Claus yet, I do not understand. He needs to be Santa Claus.
I think by the time he looked that much like Santa Claus, he was basically retired from acting. He just wanted to be a director. He only came out of retirement for 5 minutes for Picard, and that's it. He's done with acting otherwise.
I did like his time in Picard though. I really did.
He really nailed it. Yeah. No, It was fun for sure.
Quaid getting busted up in the bathroom by the Nightingale and then saved by hippies. good. Like, that was the thing. Like, I was sitting there wondering, like, shit, how does he get out of this? Like, there's no reason that he should get out of this. Then the hippies come in, and I'm like,
Right.
perfect save to make the scene and the story make sense. Way to get it done. Outstanding. I loved it. This was, I know we both loved this part. He got his prince because his dad tells him that he stole his driver's license and all this, and then we get that wallet that travels through time. Outstanding. I loved that.
Brilliant.
Nope, just loved it.
It was straight out of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I did steal my dad's keys.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yep. Nice. Damn it. I completely missed that, but yeah. Good. Nice. We find out at this moment he is a cop, and he killed his own mother. That when Caviezel goes and confronts him and just dangles everything right in front of him. One, I thought that was a very stupid move. Two,
me too. I'm like, what's your fucking plan here, pal?
But you understand it because that is him, like that is his moment to put fear into the heart of the person who took his mother. So that point, not smart, understandable though. To take away the comfort, to introduce fear, not have him live a nice little peaceful life until the cuffs are on him, introduce that fear. Very understandable as a story device. Very good call as a story device. Very stupid as the character, but as a story device, very good decision because it brought him back in for the conflict, which the end scene of this is tremendously beautiful.
It is remarkably well done for all the confusing shit that's happening. You're never confused. It all ties together. You get every bit of it. Yeah.
That line that Caviezel gives him, though, you went down 30 years ago, pal. You just don't know it. The faith he has in his dad is everything that I felt when he said that. He's like, my dad's going to get you. Man.
My dad's going to beat you up.
100%. I loved it. It sat with me so well. Like, it was great. But then when Satch shows up to arrest his dad and then breaks the ham radio, and then you like that, the imagery of John just sitting there looking down at the scrapbook of the Nightingale kills murder suspect.
Right.
Because what else can he do? The ham radio is broke. There's nothing he can do. He's just sitting there. Just, what did I do? Like,
right, yeah.
Like, I felt you didn't hear anything from him. You barely saw him again until the final conflict. But you just couldn't help but just all of the pain that you were feeling that he was going through. You didn't even need to see him to understand it. It was a great job. Very much loved it. When Quaid is actually telling Satch everything, I wasn't really expecting him to do that, but I was glad that he did. And then when Satch is sitting there like with Jules, and he's saying that John is little Johnny in the future, and like that whole explanation, I was having a good time the entire time. Then he gets up to go watch the baseball game, and Jules is like, why are you watching a game right now? Like, every time it cuts back to her, she's like, what the fuck?
because it's the same thing that he went through. It's like, because the game's playing out exactly as predicted. And so it's like, and with Braugher, like that, when he turns around with that huge grin on his face, because it's like, for him, it's a three-peat. Because first of all, the Mets just won the World Series, so he's happy about that. His friend was telling the truth and is not a murderer. Oh, he's ecstatic about that. And then to kick it off, holy shit, time travel is real. This is the best day ever. Like he is, and that just giant, and Andre Braugher grin on his face, like, oh, you are not going to believe this, baby. Like,
oh yeah. Like, because he knows
great.
that what she doesn't know is that she was talking to her own son. So all of this is like kind of like rolling over. Like, yeah,
it's all clicked together for him. Yeah. And he's ecstatic about every single bit of it. Just, this is so cool.
Yeah, and he sold
now,
it.
Now to start clean up. Yeah,
such a good job.
First thing I got to do is go arrest this cop that my buddy told me to get. It's because we'll figure out the evidence later. Obviously, we got to.
Oh hell yeah! The Nightingale face-off in that interrogation room, that was a good one. But what I really loved about all of that was how Quaid rocks the firefighter knowledge and then hits him with an absolute gangster moment, like right at that. Like,
right? Yeah. No, I mean that's kind of the amazing thing is like that's another like brilliant moment of this is that it's like, well, it's a combination because it's not just like it's a firefighter moment. He's got some knowledge because he's dealt with electrical fires, so he knows how faulty wiring what it can do.
Yep.
But he's also a ham radio operator, which I actually tried to get a ham radio license when I was a kid. It's fucking hard because they actually require you to learn about the mechanics of electricity in it. And I couldn't grasp it when I was 8 years old. And so I gave up. But that's the thing is he is a firefighter and a ham radio operator, which means this motherfucker knows how the zaps zap. And he delivered that on this asshole perfectly.
Absolutely. This scene was great, especially with him just sitting there smoking the cigarette, waiting for him to come in, and how he does that. It's like, all right, up until this point, we have not been in Quaid's comfort zone. This is his comfort zone, and he is relishing it. And that was a great moment. I love that.
And the killer walks in, steps right in it. He's got his hand on the doorknob. He's got his foot on the poured coffee, and Quaid looks at him and goes, "Gotcha, bitch," and throws the trap right at him. Like
outstanding, and I loved it. Just the look of satisfaction over Quaid's face before he even does it. He's like, "Welcome to the show, pal." Like that was I loved it. Satch is in the game, mom is confused, and dad is on the run. And we get to the killer's house. And the way that he finds the trophies, I thought that was really good. A good double back and all that. One, Quaid tricks the dude. Two, the dude right back tricks Quaid, and they get into a great chase sequence that actually completely made sense.
Kind of an amateur move. He makes the sound of clicking the chain and opening and closing the door, make the sound like he left. And Quaid does not check to make sure he's actually gone before he makes his move. But it's understandable because he's a firefighter, not a cop. No one would expect him to know that, to see that double blind coming. So it was kind of one of those, like, as soon as we hear the sound effect of the door opening and closing, but we don't see him leaving, we as the audience know, fucker, he's still in the house. Like, but
oh yeah, we know, we know all the tropes, of course.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, I thought that was done well. Finding the trophies and then going into that chase scene. The chase scene was very good. They actually planned out and set up the chase scene so Satch was able to look at all the evidence and actually properly find them to where the gunshot actually hit the corner of the fence. And I loved that the camera properly tracked everything that happened so we could see how Satch was able to see it. That was done very, very well. Going into the chase, and this is what I was saying earlier, where Quaid goes under the pier and then rips him through the ground. That, I loved how he turned the tables on that, and all of a sudden, like, the firefighter who's been scared and chased and worried about everything, no, he thinks up something, comes through because he knows how weak the wood is going to be. He knows what he's going to, like, he knows how much he can hold his breath.
Like,
yes.
That's the thing. That's one of those things where it's like, when it comes to a chase down like this, I'd pick firefighter over cop any day because this is literally the kind of shit firefighters train for. Like I've seen it in Portland. I used to, on my way to work, drive by a freaking firefighter training facility, a fucking 8-story tall concrete block with stairs. And I would sometimes see these poor motherfuckers with full equipment having to run up and down these stairs multiple times. And so it's like, dude, if you need to chase down a firefighter, get in a car, because otherwise you have no fucking shot.
No, because these dudes are used to running at full speed with like way more gear than like
with like 200 pounds of shit on their back.
buddies.
Yeah, exactly.
Firefighters are flat out heroes, man. They are the cream of the crop of the heroic society members. Like, they don't go out there and pull bullshit and do all this crap. Like you don't have bad firefighters like you got bad cops.
Yep.
You don't have bad firefighters like you got bad lawyers and all this stuff. You just have heroic ass motherfuckers. Like, firefighters got my respect till the day I die, and man, I don't even know how.
It's like, well, it's like they say on the internet, man. There ain't no song titled "Fuck the Fire Department."
Hey, that's a good one. Never heard that one, but I like that.
Yeah,
that's a good one. The chase is over, and we won the World Series. I love that the entire city starts celebrating when the murderer dies, and they don't even know it. Like, I thought that was a good little double moment. I enjoyed that. Returning home and fixing the radio. Crushing the smokes for his boy. Loved that. Very much loved that.
Yeah.
And then he tells him, he's like, or John's confused. He's like, well, I don't get it. Nothing's changed. And Quaid is even more confused. Like, I don't get it. I killed him. Like, how could, like, what's going on? Then the Nightingale shows up at the same house, 30 years apart, and they can both hear the other one is in danger. And the amount of tension that would be going on that, fighting for your own life and and potentially listening to the death of your father, or your father potentially hearing the death of his son. The stakes in that scene are some of the highest I think I've ever seen.
It was crazy. Yeah. No, it was a hell of a climax for sure. Yeah. The two different, the 30 years apart attack on the house playing out, and yeah, and we don't even know exactly how it plays out, because it's like, because it seems like nothing's changed, and so it's like we don't know who lives or who dies that night in 30 years ago, and it certainly seems like, you know, in present day that he ain't got an edge for sure. So it's like, it's looking like it, you know, so it really is like everything's up in the air as it's all coming down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also seeing the help from his parents. You know, his mom's fighting him off, claws the dude's face, and we see the scars form on his face in the future. Like, that was dope. Like, so it's not just a one-on-one fight on either one, you know?
No, it really isn't, because his mom and dad are helping him out in the past, which does straight up save his life in the future, because he's getting choked in the future, or present day. And then in the past, his hand gets shot off, and that is literally the thing that saves him. So his parents save his life in the past, and then his dad, at the same time, saves his life in the future. Dude, this scene was so good. The way that dad saves the day, and then what he said, you know what, before that, Johnny's cuffed to the door. You mentioned the scratch, but when his dad goes in and she says, "Hey, bud," and he just, the side of her face, the immediate, like, the eye-popping panic that hits at the very second of that.
Right.
Because that was a good moment. And
yeah, as she straight up knows that is not her husband's hand. Like, in an instant, like, not even confused.
Didn't, like, not even a little, nothing. She knew the second she's like, that is not my Quaid. Like, no, I loved it. That was very good. The standoff, and then Mama coming in for the rescue. When she sees Johnny is being held and all that, she just right after the dude, and she does not care. Like, once she is capable of moving all that, like that, that's the heroic parents that come in. Like, it does not matter what happens to me. My baby is gonna live. That is all the only thing.
Right.
And then a great payoff to him burning into the table at that point. Says the same thing. I'm still here, Chief.
Right.
Which that, like, he never had that, and this is the first time that he actually got that. Dude, and like everything that he actually wanted in this movie actually hit. Fuck my life, I'm getting too emotional. Yeah, this movie does it for me.
And then of course the added payoff. We now our epilogue moment is the football or the baseball scene where his dad is actually there playing for him this time.
Yeah,
you know, and I forgot to check. Was the girlfriend there? Like that was
the girlfriend.
When I watched
the girlfriend was
time,
there because he has his own son now.
Oh, that's right. That was his kid. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, things have okay. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, things have completely gone utopian for him now that yeah.
No.
He's not is he still a cop? That's the
You know what? I actually don't know. I'm gonna guess yes, but I don't know. So that is going to be frequency for me.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a must watch if you like the thing like if you are a person who has experienced this kind of tragedy where you have suffered the loss of a parent at a young age and you didn't grow up with one, this movie is for us. It just is. It is the fantastical payoff of everything that we fantasize about as children, to get to have that conversation, to reacquire that relationship, to potentially change the thing that led to an immense amount of struggle. All of that. This is a movie that kind of plays into that, not kind of, it absolutely plays into that fantasy in the most wonderful of ways.
And I don't disagree with you, but I would not put this on a must-watch. As much as I enjoyed the movie.
Let me put a caveat on that real quick. It is a must-see for those kinds of people. It is not a must-see for general audience.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It's a good cathartic movie for someone who's had that loss, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. If you have had a life like this, this is a must-see for you because it is incredibly it is cathartic. Exactly.
Mm. Okay. Oh yeah. Then I guess I generally agree with you, but yeah, my takeaway was that as much as I enjoyed the movie, I wouldn't put it as a must see. This is going along with my with Drowning Mona, where God, I loved it, but I can't say it's necessary no matter how hard I try.
And that's the thing, because I can't think of a person, like a kind of person that movie would be a must see for, like that would make that similar to this. I just don't think that's a must see. I think it is a great ass film, but yeah, not a must see. But this one, not a must see for general audiences. You know. Did you have a specific highlight of the movie that you liked though? I'm curious. Like, what was like a favorite part?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is that so for me, it's a very personal thing because I'm actually one of the 4 books that I'm working on right now actually involves paradoxes, and you brought up that like how many paradoxes are here kind of thing, and the interesting thing is that I've been trying to work out some sort of literary through line with as we explore this whole concept of multiverses and multiple timelines and and all that. I've been very dissatisfied with how these things get treated and thought about, and so I basically started working on a book that kind of addresses the concept of paradoxes and all that. This is one of 2 movies that comes close to what I have in mind as a workable narrative for these kinds of things. And when I say it's a workable narrative, I mean like this book that I'm doing, I don't intend to own this concept of time travel. I'm hoping it will become like in the same way that the Dungeons and Dragons theme is a through line. I'm hoping that this mechanic that I'm developing in this book becomes a theme for time travel and paradox and multiverse kind of things, because I feel like we need to have some kind of the infinite possibilities and therefore nothing matters mindset bugs the shit out of me. we need a better narrative. And so
Okay.
this is, I've worked out a mechanic. I'm trying to put it together in this book. And this and Looper are two movies that I have ever seen that kind of come close to what I have in mind. And so I appreciate them for that regard. I like the way they take that approach.
Okay. I was wondering how you
this
were
idea
wrap that
of
back in.
yeah. It's the idea that even in a paradoxical event, it'll kind of shape itself out in which both things are true, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
I'm very
and that's
curious.
and sometimes in a weird way.
I'm gonna pick your brain on this one later because you're being like wildly vague for very good reason. But I am curious how that actually does shake out.
I'm writing the book. I don't want to give in too much detail. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I'm gonna pick your brain when we're not recording. But did you have any final thoughts on Frequency?
No. I mean, I know I did just say it's not a must see, but God damn, it's fun and it's good. And
It
yeah,
may not be a must
I
see,
remember
but
loving
goddamn
it in the
go watch
theater.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you get a chance, if you've got one of those nights where you're having a hard time choosing what to watch, you're not going to be disappointed if you land on this one.
I really don't think so. All right, so that's going to bring a close to part 1 of this week's episode. And all right, going into part 2, The Freshman, written and directed by Andrew Bergman, starring Matthew Broderick, Marlon Brando, Bruno Kirby, Penelope Ann Miller, and Frank Whaley, with John Polito, Paul Benedict, Richard Gant, Kenneth Walsh, Maximillian Schell, and, delightfully, B.D. Wong. Was not ready for B.D. Wong. Was not expecting B.D. Wong. That caught me completely off guard. All the way off guard.
I have another movie on my list. I had forgotten B.D. Wong was in this, and I had another movie on my list that I wanted to do on here because it was my introduction to B.D. Wong. A different movie. It's called The Lounge People.
Don't know it. We'll have to check that out.
Okay.
Now, the fact that B.D. Wong is in this and the movie opens on an awesome shot of a lizard cracking out of a shell is just too perfect for me. That is just so on point. I don't even know what to do with that. We start with Matthew Broderick out hunting with Dwight, played by Kenneth Walsh, and Psycho Stepdad? What is happening with this guy?
And what a weird take. Like there are no good guys in this movie. Like you've got extreme environmentalists that are crazy. You've got organized criminals that are just so shady and so wacky and so weird.
Wait a minute, I thought they were the ones you were talking about being the extreme environmentalists.
No. The stepdad. The stepdad is an extreme environmentalist.
This whole movie, they're all extreme environmentalists. The gangsters are full on, they open a wing in a zoo with the exhibit for doing all this stuff. Well, that's the end of the movie. We'll have to get there.
At the end, we don't know what's going on right away. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, and you've got fish and wildlife enforcement that's on the take. They're actually mobbed up. That film school professor, what a tool! I mean, there are no good guys in this movie at all.
No. Broderick's delivery of "It has not been a barrel of laughs," that killed me. Just Broderick's capability of delivering flat lines with perfect comedy. That is a wonderful talent that he has. Our main character is about to leave for film school, and when just setting it up with the dad and the mom, the stepdad and the mom. Oh my dude. But also, he got sent off with $600 and he was like scoffing like hardcore at that. That is double the amount that I was sent off with 30 years later. Come on, man.
Well, and that's the thing. When I say there's no good guys in this, I'm also including Broderick in this because he is kind of starts off as kind of a tool. Like he's clearly like comes from a very, very, very well-to-do Vermont family. He kind of has the I'm above this attitude across the board, all the way to the very end. His whole thing is like, look, I don't want to be involved in this because I'm better than you. Don't you understand? That's his attitude through the whole fucking movie. Like we were talking before about with Frequency about because of how it was structured. What if Emmerich lost a dad, and that's why it seems so personal and so perfect, is because it actually action to him. I'm wondering, was this movie written by an actual like asshole who went to film school and thinks he's better than everyone? Because that seems to be the hero's point of view of this movie is I'm better than you.
That most of the people who go to film school don't think they're better than everyone.
No, that is a very, very good point, especially New York Film School.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've worked with people who went to film school and everything like that. And the second, like, they go into film school thinking they're the king of the shit. They come out of film school thinking they're the emperor of shit. And about 5 years after that is where I kind of noticed they actually get a personality. Takes about 5 years after, after
that makes
getting
sense.
out of film school and actually hitting the sets and doing all this stuff to actually learn a little bit of humility, if it happens. But oh my god, the amount of just ridiculous asshats that I met while working with people from film schools. Yeah, I'll never work with a film student again.
No, yeah.
I will wait until
I think I swore
at
off
least a few years. And if you're in film school, don't be a dick. That's just plain and simple.
Yeah, come on.
Be one of the ones we're not talking about. Like, because they do exist. I'm not saying
shockingly
every
not
single
hard.
one of them. It's really not hard to be a dick. It really isn't. I cannot understand why so many people choose to go that direction. It is very confusing. It doesn't help you out. It only hurts you time after time. Like, yeah. Back to this. Going through the station and not used to watching out for homeless. Oh, man, that was relatable. My first, like when I drove into the city for the first time, and I came in to Portland through the Gorge in December during Christmas shopping at rush hour.
Fuck, dude.
I know. It was literally the worst time of year, the worst time of day in the worst time of year. That was, and I'd never been in a traffic jam before. I had never seen that many. I'd never seen that many taillights in my life before. So I pulled over to a gas station, and as I got out, I used to do this thing where I'd get out and I'd just like look up and I would take this big like deep breath and I would just walk a little bit, just kind of like stretch my back as I was looking up. Nope, I straight up kicked a homeless dude and I apologized like up and down and I was like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Do you need anything? Can I get you something to drink or something? And he just like, he was laughing it off or like that. He's like, you're not from around here, are you? I'm like, no. And he asked where I was from. And at this point, I was still right around 190 pounds. So I told him, I was like, I'm from North Dakota.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, you look like a corn-fed motherfucker. And I'm like, I think I'm going to like the people here. Because, like, basically my first great conversation that I had in Oregon was over a homeless guy that I accidentally kicked. So
Right, okay.
I was like, this place
Well,
might actually work for me.
Yeah, you're fine because I can beat that. When I was in LA, I accidentally peed on a homeless guy.
What
mean to,
the shit, Doc? How do you accidentally pee on anybody?
I needed to take a leak. It was an emergency situation. So I went to pee behind a dumpster. I didn't check to see if anyone was sleeping behind the dumpster because I wasn't accustomed to having to do that.
Oh, man.
I felt really, 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 really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That dude was having a bad
So
enough
you're
day.
fine. You're fine. You're not going to hell. I am.
Oh, buddy, you're driving the bus. That's a good one. That's But you know what? At least it wasn't on purpose, because you know there are dudes out there who have done that on purpose.
That is fair.
So,
that is fair.
You know, at least you're not one of those guys. Meeting Victor Ray, played by Bruno Kirby, and the misdirect on who takes who, I thought that was great because Broderick was doing a very good job of exactly what you're supposed to do in that situation, is not tell them how much money you have, haggle it down, do all this stuff, lose their interest. He was doing everything correct, and I was like, all right, maybe this movie's gonna be about this. Okay. But no. Don't put your luggage in the trunk if you don't know the person. That is not a smart decision. Never do that. Meeting the roommate, played by Steve Buscemi. Meeting the roommate, Steve Buscemi, played by Frank Whaley. Yep. And holy crap, this guy is in everything.
Oh, he's all the fuck over the place, yeah.
Yeah, but I did not recognize his face one bit at any part in this movie, and I know this dude from everything.
Really?
I didn't recognize him at all.
Okay.
No. It's kind of like you with Michael Cera in Frequency. Just nope, not even a little bit.
Okay.
Once I was like checking the credits and I was doing that, and I was like, I'm sorry, that's who? Because I mean, Broderick did not age. I mean, he did age, like his hair's gray and his face is a little bit more filled out, but he looks exactly the same.
Right.
Whaley does not. Whaley
kind of got thinner
kid.
over time for some weird reason.
Yeah, well, I mean that does happen. I mean that's what happened to me. Like I had like baby face and everything like that, and it was round and soft, and then as I'm getting older, it just keeps getting more and more angular, and I don't know, by the time I die, I'll be like a weird Final Fantasy character from the 90s. That's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to understand what that meant. All right.
There'll be like 5 people. There'll be like 5 people.
Yeah.
And those 5 people will be your most dedicated fans.
That would be Marcus. Marcus would be the one to get that one.
Yeah, we can name him. Yeah.
I like that. I like that where he's like, I shouldn't go to the cops. Like, I should just be a victim. And it's New York. Everybody's a victim here.
Mm-hmm.
What a sad commentary on New York, but also the exact same commentary on New York that we've had forever.
Yeah.
Is that still the commentary on New York, actually? Because, you know what, I don't really hear
Well,
that
I mean,
as much these days.
they've softened it up a little bit since 9/11, but still, I mean, they kind of still have that whole if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere mentality.
No, I was thinking more the gentrification of Brooklyn. Like, Brooklyn used to be like a tough place to live and everything like that. Now it's a bunch of white women with mocha frappuccinos walking pit bulls.
Yeah. That happened too.
I was thinking that was the change that happened. I wasn't thinking 9/11, but that does introduce a pretty good concept there.
That was where I noticed it at first. Yeah, it became a lot more rah New York is awesome type thing. You know,
that's a good point.
After 9/11, but yeah, it was. Where was my train of thought going on that one? Oh, right. Yeah, no, I still think of like, you know, working in one of the years I've been working in hotels, and I come across, you know, people traveling to Portland from New York and stuff like that. I've met a handful of New Yorkers, and I have said on occasion, people from New York will say, I'm from New York in the same way most people will say, I have a gun. Like it is both informative and a threat at the same time.
You know what? Interesting. I had the same joke about people from Chicago when I was in high school, because everybody that would come over to small town North Dakota, from Chicago, they would all talk like that. Like they'd be like they would just saying where they were from was like this weird threat, and it's like, you realize where you needed to know, right? Like like it's
right,
yeah. You have a gun, we all have guns. You're in North Dakota, like you have a pistol. Everybody else has a rifle, like.
Well, yeah, but it like not even like that, like not even like they're trying to say, it's kind of more like
no, these guys were.
Oh,
these guys were. I don't know. Like, I don't know about yours in the hotel situation, but no, because I mean, this was high school. Like high school kids coming over trying to say they're the toughest, the coolest, the baddest. That is a very common thing. Like, way different situation.
No, I remember once at the hotel, we had like the bar was closing, and they were doing the whole like last call thing, everybody out kind of stuff, and there was like this one table of guys that weren't leaving. They weren't closing out. They weren't leaving. And so the witch had to go and remind them and be like, hey, we're closing. And they literally went like, but it's only 2 a.m. And they're like, yeah, we're closing. And they literally looked at her and go, we're from New York.
It's like, good for you.
Like that was their response to,
it should be 5 o'clock in the morning to you. So go to bed. That would have
been, like that, like
my response.
It was like cops putting up a badge being like, we don't need a warrant. We're or something like that's my experience with people from New York, is that they literally believe that going, I'm from New York is a pass for fucking anything, and it's always been weird.
I feel like I don't think I'm dinging you on this, but I might be dinging you on this one. So I apologize. People from Austin, Texas, and people from Portland, Oregon are exactly the same fucking way anywhere they go, anytime they go anywhere. Like, if they do anything that is like, what the hell are you doing? Like, oh, I'm weird. I'm from Portland or I'm from Austin. It's like, does that mean that you don't know how to not fuck with people in this way? Like, does that mean that you don't like, I get, like, because I'm weird, but I'm also well-mannered. So when I put myself in a situation that aspects of my, like, weirdness or something like that is going to ruin the situation or, like, derail the tone or something like that, no, I have an understanding of place and time. So many people from Portland and Austin just either do not have an awareness or have just the, like, highest sense of entitlement to make any situation crazy fucking weird and awkward, and then just go, it's me, it's where I live. Like,
right.
That's just an excuse for you being a dick.
I cannot speak to that. I'm not going to make excuses. I can't tell you the one time that I can recall ever dropping my own I'm from Portland card was I was in Idaho hanging out with some cousins and some of their friends, and one of my cousin's friends kind of started rambling about this guy that she basically had a one night stand with this dude, and met him at a bar, took him home, and then like a week later she found out that after he left her place in the morning, apparently he had gone and had another one night stand with a friend of hers the very next night, and they were basically kind of like all in agreement that this guy was a douchebag, and I was just kind of sitting there just going like, this doesn't involve me. This doesn't involve me. Don't comment, and until finally one of them literally turns to me and goes like, is this, do you think that's appropriate behavior? And I literally went, I'm from Portland.
But see, that's the thing. That doesn't actually excuse anything, because even if you're in Portland, that's still a douchebag move unless that person is okay with that. Somebody just like, you're in that situation. You just actively decided to potentially put two friends against each other because you wanted to get laid. That is a situation. If it's an understood thing, if people are kind of cool with that, then that's the thing is, it wasn't
Like, we are literally talking about one night stands. This wasn't I'm taking you home because I think I want to date you. It was literally, at closing time, we both happened to be.
That's like forcing ignorance on a situation, though. There is never going to be a time that I would have known, like I would not have known. If I hook up with you tonight and I hook up with you tomorrow, the day after, we're all going for brunch. I know what I would have been doing. Like, flat out, I would know going into that situation, I know that the decisions I'm making are going to potentially mess up them. And if I still decide to go ahead and do that, yes, I am the douchebag. The fact that the friend decided to do that makes the friend also a douchebag. But that doesn't make that like, nah, because even in Portland.
Oh, I don't think the friend was aware.
That still wouldn't fly.
Yeah. No, I don't think the friend is aware, because I'm talking these were literally like
that specific that specific situation. Okay, but if the friend wasn't aware, then the friend's not a douchebag.
There was no.
If the dude is sitting there,
there was no like
trying
possible
to
relationship going on or anything like that.
If the dude is trying to work his way through this friend group, yeah, that's a douchebag. It just is. Friend
group is a strong word. We're talking about Boise, Idaho. All right. If you're gonna swear off sleeping with your girl, with your someone's friends, that's like half the town off.
First
the
off,
market,
I'm from a town much smaller than Boise, Idaho, so I know how this plays. I know how this works. But that actually kind of adds a little bit extra layer to that. You know these two people are going to find out about this. You know the drama is going to come. If these are not the kind of people who are into a situation like that, you 100% know what you're doing and what you're going to cause. Just because somebody else wouldn't be like that, it's not like you didn't check that out. You didn't ask. You didn't tell the person. You weren't upfront about it. You were just trying to get your penis in something. That is not a like, and I'm not saying that just trying to get laid makes you a bad guy, but I'm saying in that situation,
okay,
I'm kind of siding with
I guess that's the question. What is the waiting period? If you're the kind of person who your life is go to work, go to the bar, get laid, rinse, repeat. Okay, if that's your life, then what is the wait? And you're in a small town where everybody knows everybody. Then what is the waiting period after sleeping with someone you're not allowed? How long do you have to wait before you're allowed to sleep with one of their friends?
Oh, easily 6 hours.
Because in Portland, Portland's not even that big of a city.
A friend. That's the thing. Okay, enough of this. Portland has over 1 million people in it. North Dakota, the entire state, has 630,000 people. Stop pretending Portland is a small town. It is a city that has a small town vibe.
Okay.
It is a full fucking city.
You say that. However, here's the thing is that in my experience, like when I was like making my weird personal attempt to play the field, I never ever met anyone in Portland that when I went and friended them on Facebook, we didn't have at least at a minimum 8 friends in common already.
Oh, well, sure, yeah. But what I'm talking about is every single person that I'm friends with on Facebook that I'm from, we have about 300 friends in common because there is no separation. We're all just in the same age group. Like but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're just going to hook up with somebody, yeah, go hook up with somebody else the next day. Go hook up with somebody else that afternoon. That doesn't matter. But if you're going in with people's friends, that's a different situation. Like, you don't like, if I were to do that, I would definitely have welcomed myself to be called the douchebag, asshole, anything like that. And I wouldn't be expected to be friends with them or anything like that. I would expect them to call me the douchebag, to call me the asshole. I would full on expect to be a bad story in the history of their friendship. So my kind of point on that is, yeah, he was that is a douchebag move to like go through.
Well, he certainly is no angel for sure, but
well, yeah, but just go like when you're doing that, Yeah, like if you go like one town, another town, this friend group, that friend group, this like no, that like that's a different situation. But once you start messing with other people's dynamics because of your penis, that's when you become the problem. That's where I'm coming from with that.
Well, and you're not wrong, but that was not the vibe I was getting on this story. The vibe I was getting on this story was it was very much a case of, in both cases, when the bars closed and it was time to pick a partner and go home, that just happened to who be there, and this guy just went along with it.
Okay,
and
then
that's his fault somehow.
No, that's just some thirsty ass women and everything like that. If he was the one that was actually like trying for something like that, that is the situation.
Yeah.
If they were
if,
just
if
like
he was trying to, it's one thing if it's just never turning down an opportunity versus trying to check something off a list. Sure, that's two different things.
Yeah.
I was not getting that vibe from this story. And yeah, and then when I say I dropped the I'm from Portland thing is because they were basically coming at me with, Midwest morals. And I was like, hey, look, where I'm from, what you're talking about is the least of your fucking problems. All right. So,
Yeah, no, I can see that. I see the way that I thought you were taking that from was the position of polyamory is such a welcome thing in Portland that people just don't care about that there. Yes, they do. It's the the certain people that don't. Like everybody else definitely does. That is even in Portland, that is a rarity. In Portland, you get
that's true.
a lot of people who say they're like that, but that actual lifestyle is a very rare thing. So that that's the confusion on that one. Back to this movie. The faculty advisor.
What were we talking about again?
The freshman.
Right. Yes.
The faculty advisor, Arthur Fleeber, played by Paul Benedict. I could not have hated a character more.
He was perfect. He was the nightmare film school professor. Like, he was the nightmare professor.
Yes, the character was perfect. The role was like everything like that. I hated him literally exactly as much as the movie wanted me to. That they really did
for sure
perfect on that one. I mean, I was like, I want to punch him for both turning the TV on mid-meeting and talking about how he wants to do an interpretation. Oh my God, so annoying. Oh my God, how many times have we been in meetings where people do crap like that? You sit there, you want to talk about a production you want to do with somebody, and they kick on and they start talking about some fantastical thing that they're hoping to do and they've been dreaming about for 10 years, and you have to be polite just so you can get them to work on your project. I hate that. World, stop it. That is one of the most annoying things people do. Just derail something to completely discuss. That is such an annoying thing. Okay, let me do a little caveat here. That is literally what we try to do here. I'm talking about in those kinds of situations. I was
gonna say, man, we literally both just did that.
But we're doing a fucking podcast. Nobody's coming here asking us for help, and then we derail their question to give a personal story that's completely unrelated. That is. That's like if you go to your therapist and they start talking about their family shit.
Oh shit, I'm putting that in a movie someday. That's brilliant.
We may need to talk after the episode. I've lived way too much life. What the fuck, man?
Hey, yeah. Right there with you. And I didn't even go to war.
I'm not talking about no, I'm literally talking about something very, very fresh. No, we'll discuss. All right, Broderick sees the thief through the window, and that just wild small town New York cliche, just it's New York, everybody runs into everybody type thing. Yep.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I love
I loved that though. No, I want to back up because I love that bit where he glances out the window, sees Bruno Kirby, the guy who stole his shit, across the street, and he immediately turns to the professor and goes, I have to go, opens the window and climbs out the window. That didn't need to be there. They put it in and it was fucking hilarious. I think that was my first out loud laugh moment of this movie was him opening the window and just saying, "I have to go," and climbing out the window in absolutely normal, not even apologetic in his voice.
No, it made complete sense though. Why would you take your eyes off of that for even half a second? No, like
exactly. Yeah, if you went the right way around, you'd lose him. Yeah, exactly.
I love that after the chase, he catches him. He's like, "All right, will you give me a hand with this?" I love like that whole scene, that whole exchange of him actually helping him do that was great.
The way Bruno Kirby's character plays Matthew Broderick's character like a fucking fiddle throughout this entire movie is it's painful to watch while at the same time brilliantly hilarious. Because he yanks at him on every turn, just twang, you're going to do exactly what I want you to, no matter how pissed you are at me, you're going to do it.
Yep. And he plays the situation so well. And as the movie unfolds, it's so great. And this is the moment that he cons him into a job setting up Carmine. Referencing Brando as Brando was an incredible moment for me.
This is a movie in which The Godfather exists. The movie The Godfather exists as a movie, as a very popular movie that is constantly referenced in this film, and Marlon Brando is playing a version of Don Corleone right in front of him, and to the point where
that
Broderick first goes
based off of.
Right. Yes. Yeah. They're saying like, yeah, they basically imply like, oh yeah, they made the movie based off of him, but he's just an importer.
Beautiful. I loved it.
And
oh my God, the amount of cameos from The Godfather that were in this. Like I think I counted 3, if I'm right. There was the maitre d'. He was one of those. The guy who was like the bodyguard for Tina, he was in The Godfather. And then the bartender, he was in The Godfather too.
Oh right, yeah. Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think I was able to track 3, but there may have been more. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, but
and then just
watching Kirby on his side was just like being pathetic as hell, and just everything he offers Broderick. Kirby's like, "Oh, I don't want any," everything like that. Just how passive Brando was with him on the side, like every moment of that was delightfully hilarious.
Oh, and every time someone says something in Italian, Kirby translates it for him to Broderick, even though it's obvious what he's saying, to the point where, he's like, dos espressos. And he's like, he asked for 2 espressos. I know. Like, he actually loses his temper. Like, great. I'm not an idiot. I get simple Italian. Thank you.
No, that was, too many good moments on that one. And every hesitation from Broderick, Brando took him as a sign of intelligence, and he just loves it. Gets him to say yes and invites him to his home. And it's like that line, like he gets super emotional. Like, I never had a son. Like, that was my first wild laugh.
Yeah, the level of ridiculousness on this is that first he's been completely played by Kirby. He comes in and meets the Godfather. The Godfather gushes over him. Like, and this kind of plays into like, I remember, when I was watching this the second time, like I started kind of like sitting there going like, because I had forgotten most of it from when I first saw it back when it first came out. And so I'm watching it the second time, and I've already kind of gotten in my head the whole, like, this is from the point of view of a stuck-up film student. And so I'm like, wait a second, is this movie just like some weird like fantasy realm where some film student goes and watches The Godfather 1,000 times and says to himself, I bet I wouldn't be good friends with Don Corleone if he really, and then writes this movie as that sort of like fan fiction of like, and then I met The Godfather and he immediately thought that I was like his son, like that, and I'm because it's so fucking ridiculous what's happening. Like, it is really insane. The thing that the stuff that comes out of nowhere where they're just like, you're part of the family now. And he's like, I don't want to be part of the family. What is going on?
Yeah. No, yes, that was But the reoccurring theme of that was carried through the entire
Yeah.
film, and it never dropped, and it stayed hilarious the whole way through. Meeting Tina Sabatini, played by Penelope Ann Miller, that was where very much so. But that was also where I kind of started getting a little bit of a feel that they were playing him, because the way that she was talking, like, I'm Sabatini's only daughter. He's like, I didn't know he had a daughter. Only. The way that he delivered that was absolutely outstanding. But then trying to say,
well, and she introduces herself like it's exposition.
Yeah. No, like once you find out the end of the movie, it makes, like, the way all of the dialogue was pushed on him makes complete sense. Because every other character in this movie actually makes sense as a normal human, like, responses, all of that, regular character. Except the ones that are playing him, and when you see why and how it shook out, every single piece of it makes absolute perfect sense. And this movie was incredible. Trying to say the Mona Lisa was real, that was where I kind of, like, I know, where they were saying, like, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's like more audacity piled on. It's like, already the Godfather says you're like a son to me. You show up at the house, the Godfather's hot daughter is there and is instantly like, you know, hi, I'm his only daughter and we're gonna get along great. Yeah. And you know, I'm gonna flirt with you. I'm gonna sit you down and I'm gonna show you the Mona Lisa. Yeah, the one that's in the Louvre is a fake. We've got the real one. Like, what fucking fantasy land are we living in here with this bullshit?
The aspect, like, how many movies keep, like, and I wanted to, like, that was one of those moments I'm looking at the TV going, that's 3 times bigger than the Mona Lisa. Like, that was like
exactly, yes.
Just because I'm me. Like, that was one of those moments. When she puts her hand on his leg and the way he crosses his leg, that felt real. That did not feel acted. That felt real. You know it too.
Because Matthew Broderick is made of pure gold. I mean, I don't think we need to keep saying that in this movie. I think that's a given at this point.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He is so sweetly and relatably looking for information, and when, like, nobody will give it to him. And it's too fun. It is too fun to watch them tiptoe and dance and just play with him. It's so much fun. Picking up the cargo, and I'm sorry, that, like, I don't know why I found this so funny. Like, I'm looking for Big Leo. It's like, I'm Leo. Like, or I'm Big Leo. It's like,
no, it's the other way around.
Yeah, we are the same, Leo and Big Leo. And I'm just like, who the fuck talks like that? Also, why the fuck do more people not talk like that? Like, I really enjoyed the shit out of that character.
Yeah.
Picking up that Komodo dragon and getting it into the car, having that whole chase scene, working with the dragon, all of that. No, the director said that there was, like, that, like, the Komodo dragon, it didn't do anything. It never moved. It didn't anything. Like, so just, we put the camera on and we just were hoping the actors would be able to do something funny enough. But that whole scene,
oh my God,
it was hilarious. That whole scene was hilarious. But the scene of the Komodo dragon getting out in the parking lot was real. The dragon actually got out, actually escaped, and they just happened to have 3 cameras with film in them at the time, and they kicked them on, and they recorded that entire thing. That entire section of the movie was a complete blooper, and they just happened to be, and they just put it in.
Wow. That's okay. Good for them, I guess.
That was wildly
it's super fucking dangerous. I mean, I don't know.
There was a
vaguely
cut in there where the Komodo dragon's face was covered in blood, and I was like, okay, why did you not?
It's like, that's the thing is, I seem to vaguely recall. I don't have a lot of Komodo dragon facts in my head, but the ones that I do have, I feel like basically say they are dangerous as fuck. Like,
I can't remember. Like,
they don't seem to
remember
move.
thinking that as well, but also they are not as endangered as this movie suggests. There are
No,
about
yeah. Well,
there are about 6,000 of them out in the world.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, bear in mind this movie was made in 1990. They were
Even
heavily
back then, it wasn't
endangered then.
that bad. It was bad, but it wasn't that bad. Like
Right.
that was just kind of thing because
my
they
favorite
actually
part of that though was once
put
they
a
did
huge effort into that.
my favorite part was when after they finally caught it again and are getting it out of the mall announcer comes on and says, "Will the owner of the reptile please come to the information booth?" Like that floored
was hilarious.
me. Like,
Yeah, that got me multiple times. And they deliver the Komodo dragon to BD Wong, which is the absolute perfect person, and this is years before Jurassic Park. So that just made that even so much more magical that it wound up working out that way. Meeting Larry London, played by Maximillian Schell. This scene was hilarious. It did not like the character was so goofy and so over the top, and like once you see him drop the charade and the end
with
of the movie,
minimal dialogue.
Yes. But when you see him drop the charade and he is that character, just not that over the top, and that character actually feels very natural for that actor once he drops the over the top shit, which just this entire movie is a collection of people just fucking with Matthew Broderick, and it is way too much fun.
Right.
Calling mom and then the eavesdropping stepdad, that line where he asks, like, is dad in the house or something like that? And she's like, no, thank God. Or he's in bed, thank God. And I'm like, oh my.
Right.
Rich people suck.
They really do. They really, really do.
Oh my God.
That if there's a through line of this movie, it's that rich people blow, you know.
Yeah, this movie really does showcase that. Returning to Santini, and this I got really confused about because I had a little bit of a misdirect here. Because the cops talking about the stepdad, I thought because the opening sequence where the stepdad is out shooting the dude and everything, like shooting at the guy and all this, I thought potentially the stepdad was maybe the head of a different family, and that's why that they targeted Broderick when he got off the train when they were separating from the family. So they were going to marry Broderick to the daughter and use him as a tool for the two families to get together. I got all of that, literally all of that, just from the two cops calling out the stepdad's name and saying that it's his son. My brain went wild just because of that. However, how much sense would that have made?
Zero. Well,
bullshit.
I mean, compared to what else was going on, how much of it was? But no, because he says right at the beginning, the reason why he's shooting at people is because he's an extreme environmentalist. He's shooting at hunters to get them to stop hunting.
But if you're come on, man, think about it. If you are a mobster, or a retired mobster, and you're trying to stay undercover and you got stuff on your land that you don't want people finding, you don't want hunters on your land, so you would shoot to get them off. That made complete sense. Having Broderick actually be a different family's, like a connection to a different mob family or something like that, would have actually made more sense for this movie, because it would have made sense on why Kirby found him at the station and glommed onto him. It would have actually made him a predetermined target instead of somebody who stumbled into a situation. Man, you just naysaying like a motherfucker. It makes all the sense in the world.
I mean, maybe they could have made it work if that was the way they were going to go, but I didn't see it at that time. I remember.
No. It was like it wasn't part of the movie. It was not the movie. However,
yeah. But that's the thing. It's I remember even the first time I saw it, I remember going like, oh yeah, he's pulling environmentalism crap. The stepdad totally ratted him out to the authorities over the Komodo dragon.
I think when you saw this, you had already grown up with much more environmentalists and stuff like that. Didn't even enter my mind. like at the beginning, I think I didn't even catch the fact that he was an environmentalist. I literally had no idea why he was shooting at that hunter. Like I missed that line of dialogue. I don't know. I missed that line of exposition at the beginning. He wants out, and no, he's getting married. That was kind of a shock.
They're like, "Oh, you want out of the job? Okay, that's fine, but you still got to marry my daughter." And they're like, "What? Wait, what?"
Yeah, that was.
And I mean,
like,
talk
every
about
single
like
part of that was fun.
We've brought this up before, moments in life where you can basically go, "I'm done. I don't need to be an actor anymore. I've hit the peak." And how about Matthew Broderick playing opposite Marlon Brando, who is self-lampooning the Godfather in that scene? Like, can you think of a higher career high? I mean, aside from Drowning Mona when the guy got to fondle Jamie Lee Curtis's boobs, I'd say those are probably about equal.
Broderick working with James Earl Jones just a few years later.
Oh. Right. Fuck, Broderick has had an amazing career, hasn't he? Jesus
Broderick
Christ.
has had a very prolific career, and he has worked with some all of the Incredibles. Like, that's I don't like. You kind of got to pick who you actually do respect more, Brando or Jones. I don't know.
I'm not going to choose. I'm not going to make that choice. I don't want to.
Yeah, my love of Brando is established. But weirdly, I just keep getting more and more roles from James Earl Jones that I did not know about, did not see coming, and what he does in those roles is not what Brando. I don't have anything to compare Brando to do that. Like, Brando does comedy pretty good. I will give him that.
Yeah.
James Earl Jones, I don't know if I could pick one either. Okay, will you please, maybe inform me on this one? When the cops are chasing him down and they're flashing his lights like they are, why did they do it like that? There was no, if I had somebody behind me doing that, I would step on the gas too.
I thought that was funny too. Yes, I have no idea what they were. I mean, I think that was, I don't know. That was weird. I do not know any situation in which if I was driving along and I saw someone flashing their headlights at me, if they were on the highway, I would think this asshole wants to get around me because apparently going, 60 miles over the speed limit isn't fast enough. So maybe I'll get a little bit out of his way. But other than that, there's no way I'd sit there and go like, oh, they must be from Fish and Wildlife and want to have a word with me. Like, no, you don't pull over for flashing headlights.
Never. No, not even, that was so weird for me. Meeting up with Tina, and she tells him it was a setup from the absolute beginning. His response to all of that is, it's Broderick responding. He just is awesome. He doesn't do that much anymore,
and
does
she's...
he?
I think he's mostly on Broadway nowadays. He does mostly Broadway stuff. Last thing,
that makes sense.
What did I last see him in?
Tower Heist with Eddie Murphy.
I did see that, but there was also the movie version. Huh?
Yeah, Tower Heist. Didn't that have Eddie Murphy, Matthew Broderick, and Ben Stiller? Was Ben Stiller not in that?
I remember Ben Stiller in that. I don't remember Broderick in it. Oh, I know where I just saw him. He was in. He did a couple episodes of Only Murders in the Building, playing himself. It was pretty good.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Offering to get him a gun permit and all this. His panic. I mean, it's the same win. It's the same note every time. It's just Broderick's reactions to all of these things is just wildly enjoyable. Oh God!
And the way she's just calmly informing him too. Everything she says is like, oh, and here's another crazy thing that's going to happen to you that I'm informing you of, as though it's perfectly normal. And he's going, what is going on? And she's all, it's what's going on. Bye bye, love.
Absolutely. Too much fun for me. Oh God, another note about this. God, I hated this teacher. And the police, played by John Polito and Richard Gant, which they played police role, like they played roles like this over and over and over and over and over again. Like, they were just locked in on stuff like that. But they were perfect for it. So
they were good cops, they were bad cops, they were effective cops, but they've always been cops. Yep.
Yeah, so they get Broderick, and then they tell him about the gourmet club and how they eat the animals, and they're like, and he's like, they eat these animals? Like, all of this. Like, he is like kind of freaked out about the dragon and all this stuff. And I kind of get that. Following Sabatini looks really good on the outside, which if you ever followed a mobster when he, like a mob boss, as he was making his rounds, you got to kind of imagine it would look kind of nice on the outside. Just not after he left. Like, you might want to just stick around a little bit longer and see how they look at him as he leaves. That's probably the right indicator. And then Sabatini shows up to ask about him following him. This was a very beautiful scene where Sabatini, like Brando, opens up and he offers for Broderick to read some of the poetry that his father wrote before he died. What an incredibly beautiful scene that I'm glad that it was in this movie, and I'm still kind of wondering whether it belonged in this movie, but it was very wonderful.
Well, it was a necessary scene because because the very next scene, we have him having that sort of like personal crisis where he's deciding if, whose side he's going to be on. Like, is he going to stay? Is he going to, rat him out to the feds or not? And so having this scene where there is a genuine moment of human, not quite bonding, but at least connection between the two of them.
I thought it was
yeah, okay. But yeah, either way, that's the thing, is like, that's what he needed. He needed to kind of have a quiet moment and see this guy as kind of, not quite the father he never had, but maybe the grandfather he never had. And kind of get that sort of like a personal connection to him. Yeah. So that when the moment comes where it's decided, are you going to turn him into the feds or not? He's like, nah, I'm not turning this guy in. He's a good guy. Like, he may be the Godfather, but he's a good dude, and I'm not going to fuck with him like that.
A line that I have always appreciated, especially when it comes to the description of characters: a bad guy, but a good man. That is
a tough one to do in any character.
Very, very, but those are the best villains. Those are the ones, like, yeah, those are the ones who are always the most interesting. Once again, a bad guy, but a good man. Those are some of the most interesting characters to me. Back to class to see the kiss of death on screen would very much repaint what he saw the night before when he was told that it's okay to leave and everything like that. And Broderick sells the fear very well.
And while we're at it, I do want to point out the another, because this is what's piled on here is they don't really say it out loud. You kind of have to be a film nerd to kind of get these things, but they're piling on even further what a total douchebag this professor is.
Oh my God, yes.
in the midst of all of these Godfather references, what is the movie the professor is obsessed with and is showing to his class over and over again? Godfather 2.
Just to show that he is the worst.
Exactly.
For those who don't know, that is the bad one.
Right.
That is, so to have the film teacher be the most in love with the worst one is just, that's what we're talking about here. Because, yeah, you did say it was a deep cut for film nerds, and then you didn't fucking explain it.
Because the film nerds are going to get it. How are we going to explain? How are we going to explain it unless we're going to dedicate an episode to both Godfather movies?
You mean all three?
Oh, the third one doesn't exist.
Okay, all right.
Godfather is great. Godfather 2 is terrible. Godfather 3 does not exist, in my opinion. In fact, that's where I'm going to end with this, is I'm basically going to say you should watch this movie instead of Godfather 3.
There are reasons to go see Godfather 3. There are not a lot of reasons to see Godfather 3, but there are some reasons. Maybe one day, maybe one episode will actually cover the whole trilogy.
Okay.
That would be a tough one, man. That'd be a long fucking episode. Oh my god, that would take forever. Then Tina shows up, being Tina, and she's like, "My father thinks he's an A student." Like, all
I know, right?
just literally showing up doing it. It was so much, oh man. And the teacher was just so, it was like, oh, I'm part of the story now. Like, oh my god, I hated this guy in every way that I could have. The ice skating scene, that was a very lovely scene. I really enjoyed that. And it
was sweet,
it serves
yeah.
the purpose to what you were describing. The last one is just to show that he is a kind man, like all this stuff. Like, I did enjoy it. Was there anything you wanted to know?
Nope. I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's not much to add on that scene. It was just a very lovely scene with the music and the ice skating, and it was just nice.
Yeah.
The car ride,
And I
ride.
think it kind of more goes into, if we do want to dissect it, it is kind of one of those we have to dissect it in the aftermath, because once we get to the end, the big reveal at the end, we got to kind of backtrack all of these scenes of like, oh, this is what they were doing in all of these moments. You know, like you basically
both of these
find out
movies
that
we
every
chose
single
this
one
week-
of these.
Both of the movies that we chose this week are perfect for rewatching.
That is a very good point. I had not thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Using the car ride as late exposition. I haven't really been putting a lot of thought into where exposition belongs in a movie. This is where I think it belongs. Right at the beginning of Act 3. Where you're already engaged, you're already interested, you're asking the questions that they're answering. Most exposition is done before the audience even has a chance to even give a crap about what they're talking about. I actually cared about every single thing that they were saying because the movie had already intrigued me in that way. So I think basically the beginning of Act 3 might be the perfect place for an exposition dump.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And it kind of worked for this. I remember watching it for myself. I thought it was a little awkward because it kind of felt like it was a quick tonal shift. Like, because that's the thing. It's a mighty exposition dump where we're finding out that the cops are crooked, that they intend to make this the final night. There probably is going to be a hit put on them because of these crooked cops. This was all like a play, on him. And so we're going to make up a plan to kind of like weasel our way out of this. And that's what's coming kind of thing. It felt a little rushed to me, almost like, the first two acts of this movie were written. And then they were like, okay, now we got to figure out how to wrap this up. Like they hadn't had their ending planned until they got to that point. And they're like, okay, we need to establish some things really quick here, so we'll do it in this dialogue. Everything else that's happened up to this point, he's been like, I don't know what's going on. Why are you giving me a gun? What is going on here? But in this scene, he just readily accepts everything. When Carmine says to him, oh yeah, no, those guys are fish and wildlife, but they're actually on the take from this rival family that are trying to kill me. That's why they've been monitoring you. And Broderick just goes, oh, okay. Like, with all of the shit they put him through that he's had to deal with, he just immediately accepts this nugget of information. It felt a little weird to me, but they got through it so quickly that I didn't have time to sit there and go, what's wrong with this? It just sort of happened, and then we're moving on.
I felt like a surrender to fate at that point because like he was trapped. What else? What other option did he have? He didn't even have an option to get out to go another direction like that. He was just along for the ride. He had no choice but to accept it. So,
there might have been some of that there, yeah.
I do see your problem there. I think that's how I justified it because it didn't even register with me. Having, oh no, what's his name? Mark, Bet. I gotta stop doing this. So,
the stepdad?
The Gourmet Club and having the band playing tequila, hilarious. The pageantry for the dragon, and the fact that they actually had the host of the Miss America pageant all through the 80s and 90s coming out there like, look at her, the most beautiful in the world. Like, he does, like, a version of that for the dragon.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, to actually have the host of the America's Beauty pageant, that was a level of parody that was so fucking good. Oh my god. And almost nobody, like...
kind of makes the Mona Lisa story suddenly a little believable.
A little bit. Because he was playing himself. He wasn't playing a character. Like, he's credited as himself, which is why I feel so dumb for forgetting his name. New name, new passport, fed the fuck up. You cannot tell me that London speech was not wildly hilarious.
Oh, yeah, no, it was good. But my favorite, when he passes him the passport, like, it looks like he's passing him a gun. That's the funny part. Is like he takes his napkin, puts it over his hand, passes it over to him. We've already established, like 4 scenes ago, that Bruno's went out to get him a gun permit. And so he passes him a thing under the napkin over to his lap, and he pulls it out, and he's like, it's a passport, an Italian passport. He's like, open it up, like, Merry Christmas,
Welcome
and
to the family, Rodolfo.
Right, exactly. His new name's Rodolfo, and that photo of him, a weirdly bad photoshopped, as the 90s, the best Photoshop they have in the 90s, of Matthew Broderick with this giant Mario mustache on, like
too good. Too good.
That scene was amazing.
It was. It absolutely was. Setting up the feds and finding out the whole thing was a scam. Finding out how much of a scam was that these people who think that they're showing up to spend $350,000 to eat Komodo dragon, they're eating smoked turkey. These guys have been full on taking them for a scam. So that's what I was talking about earlier in the episode, where I was like, all of them are environmental activists, like, except for the ones that are being taken. Even Santini, or Brando, he keeps all of, he has a full zoo of all of these animals that should have been eaten, but they are not eaten. They are just sitting in storage, and they are a part of a zoo. He has been tricking all of these mobsters, and he has been like a philanthropist the entire time.
Yeah. But that's the thing. He's not even really, he's not an environmentalist, and he's not even really that much of a philanthropist until after the fact. He is, in fact, he's conning them. Because it's like, think about it like this.
Oh, it's a con, but it's a con with a purpose.
Yeah, but you don't need to be an environmentalist to be like, hey, why would I sell them why would I do 350 grand just to eat one Komodo dragon when I can wheel out the same Komodo dragon 6 times with its price going up every time? That's just business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
a lot better than actual poachers.
Yeah, exactly.
I still put him on the philanthropist side because, like I said, could have killed him, could have done it, just didn't. So
Yeah.
the fact that he kept them alive and then donated, the fact that he donated them after the fact, I think isn't the only reason that happened is because they shut down the gourmet club. So he had been
Right. They decided that was
the
going
entire
to be
time. Yeah, he had been a philanthropist saving these animals the entire time. But the only reason that they actually went and donated them was because the club had actually finished. So I'm
Right.
giving him that credit. Like that's what I'm
Okay. I mean, he's not the
give the
worst for
breakdown?
sure.
No, do you want to give the breakdown of the that little final conflict there?
Oh, okay. So yeah, so at the end, they're about to chop the head off of the Komodo dragon to serve it to everybody, and the cops, Fish and Wildlife guys bust in. They'd be like, "Oh, you're going down for trafficking in endangered animals," and everybody's got their hands up, and then Brando turns to Broderick and is like, "You sold me out. This is all you. I trusted you like a son." And they wrestle with a gun, and then the gun goes off, and Marlon Brando drops to the ground dead, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, the boss is dead." And then the Fish and Wildlife guys go like, "Ah, son, I know you probably feel bad about killing a man, but you're a hero. He's a bad guy. By the way, we need the money for evidence. Where's the money?" And he's like, "Oh, the money's over there." And they're like, "Great, we're going to go take this to the evidence lockup. We'll be right." They literally say, "We'll be right back." That was the best fucking part of it, is that as they're walking out, Carmine's dead. They're walking out with a duffel of money, and they're like, "Everyone wait here. We'll be right back." And then they bolt with the money. And it's all one and done in like 3 minutes, and it goes well. And then once they're gone, turns out the feds are waiting for them outside. They get arrested.
And
then Carmine gets right up.
Brando says like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
Right, exactly, yeah.
No,
and it's after that, after all that goes down, that's when he finds out, they were never going to kill the Komodo dragon. They're serving him turkey. The dragon's going to be fine. They just wheel him off. He's going to be fine. And that's when he also finds out that the whole thing was a setup from the fucking beginning. They knew that these guys were onto them. They knew that if they just tried to do him head on, that it would have been a gunfight bloodbath. They needed a fucking patsy to orchestrate things in a way that they can control, and Broderick was their patsy. The whole thing, offering him a job, finding him at the Grand Central Station, roping him into the marriage, like all of this stuff was just playing Broderick to get him where they needed him to be in order to pull off this whole orchestration to get the bad cops off their back so they could close down the restaurant and retire. And Broderick's just sitting there going, "You motherfuckers." Like, my life has been a goddamn whirligig nightmare for the last week and a half, and you're telling me it was all just a game? Like,
and I loved it. But it made everything make sense. So the only thing, the literal singular thing that I did not like about this movie is that it accidentally happened to Broderick. It accidentally happened to the perfect person. That is the
right.
only, like, I don't like when that happens. That's why when there was the potential that maybe they were targeting him because of he was a wealthy person's child or something like that, like when I thought that there might be a connection, that I kind of like glummed on to that specifically because I don't like when just you accidentally go into the perfect character.
No, but you were right there. That's the thing. She, like, even after the fact, after it's all been revealed, and he's having his one last dance with Carmine's daughter, he's saying to her, he's like, "So you're saying you knew from the beginning who my stepfather was and that he would contact those guys and set this up. That's why you guys targeted me." And she goes, "Yeah, we knew from the very beginning. That's why we sent.
Yeah, there was never explained on how the hell they could have known that. That's the only thing that got me. Like it was just like, yeah, we knew. Like, how? God, it's like, come on, man.
He's the guy. He's the Godfather.
The writer. The writer. That's how they knew. The writer told them.
Right.
That's how they knew.
This entire script was written by your professor.
Good. All right. Doc, go ahead. Actually, the final thing that happens in this movie is you get the Godfather walking off with the Komodo dragon, like just talking to the dragon.
Walking it like a dog.
It's a buddy. Yeah, walking like a dog. And then you get Broderick coming up just being his sweet self again to go and do this.
Oh.
So
yeah.
Go ahead. Give us
This movie does not end. This movie does not end with Broderick and the hot daughter as a couple. In fact, right off the bat, she's like, "No, I never intended to marry you. Get fucked." She's nicer about it than that, but that's basically the end.
No,
it does end.
She doesn't say that. She says, "Do you want to come spend the night with me?" Like, well, so I guess she does say, "Go get fucked."
Yeah. In the good way, yeah. But he chooses. But that's the thing is like he doesn't go off with her. Instead, he wanders off into the sunset with Marlon Brando. This movie ends with Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick walking off into the sunset with their pet Komodo dragon. That's how this movie ends.
It is amazing. This is an incredible movie. I honestly, I think we actually really nailed it home this week. The only thing that I'm kind of struggling with is neither of them are must-sees.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I would say, if you are a diehard fan of the Godfather franchise, you might get a tickle out of this. But other than that, this isn't. As much as I enjoyed this movie, as much as it's a great Broderick film, it's not a necessity for anybody's viewing library.
Right.
Even
However,
diehard film nerds.
I would never. Like, I can't think of a single person that I wouldn't recommend this to. But it's just not a must see.
No, it's true.
Like,
I imagine
it's a weird.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people enjoy it
on there.
Yeah, and that's the shame of it is that there are so many things out there that are worth being appreciated. It's just in the limited amount of time that we have in the day and how much good stuff there is out there. You do kind of got to get a little picky, and it's a shame that a lot of good stuff kind of has to be left by the wayside, and unfortunately, this is one of them. I would not say that this is something that needs to be seen. I'm glad I saw it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I think anybody who would catch it by accident, if you happen to catch it by accident on cable or something, you're not going to be disappointed. But yeah, it's not a must see, and it hurts to say that.
Fair enough. Did you have any final thoughts for this week's episode?
No, other than I guess it's interesting that we had two not must-sees in a row. Two movies that were banger winners that we can't call must-sees in one episode. That feels weird to have that going on.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm in a little bit of a trip about that because I feel like I don't know if our standards are getting a little bit higher because this is movie 39 and 40 that we're covering for the channel. But
wow,
I'm not. I know. We're making our way. Like, it still makes me really happy every time. Like, I remember that fact that 78% of podcasters quit after episode 6. That.
Oh yeah.
Like. No, I just every time
and we're still going strong.
It kind of makes me a little bit more proud. Yeah. All right. So,
sure. Yeah.
What do you have for me for next week?
For next week. All right. As you know, as I'm sure I've mentioned before, as I'm sure I've mentioned many times before we even started this podcast, this is common knowledge to anyone who knows me. I have had a lifelong crush on Christina Ricci, and I think I've been very, very well behaved in not making this show wall-to-wall Ricci movies for the last 19 episodes. Okay? But the time has come. It is time to pay tribute to our queen.
Your queen.
Buffalo 66.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Buffalo, this was a transition moment in her career too. This is where she went from being the mainstream girl next door to the indie princess. This was her first like really, really weird indie movie that she did. And it's a really, really weird indie movie. I'll tell you right now. I did not see this movie in the theaters. I think I saw it on DVD a couple years after it came out. So it took me a while to discover it. And I can tell you right now, I would not have given this movie a second glance if her face was not on the cover. Everything that presents about it, its trailer, its description, it sounds dumb and boring. It is not. It is a fucking art film that in the terms of when it came out, the year it came out, I had never seen anything like it, and it fucking blew my mind. I immediately bought the DVD and showed it to all my friends, watched it a half a dozen times in the span of a month, showing it to everybody I know. This movie is fucking bizarre and impressive in a lot of technical aspects.
Okay.
It is about a guy who gets out of prison and wants to go visit his family after getting out of prison. The catch is his family does not know he's been in prison for the last 5 years because he lied to them. He told them that he had gone to work for the CIA, and they think he's been working for the CIA for the last 5 years. On his way home, he randomly kidnaps a girl at the bus station, that's Christina Ricci, and tells her, "You're coming with me to my parents' house, and you're going to back up my story. You're going to be my fiancé. We met and fell in love working together at the CIA. That's what we're doing." And she goes along with it because as we find out later in the movie, she's not entirely all there herself. So that's this movie.
This sounds like a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Is it a comedy? Is it a drama?
Yeah.
What is it?
It is a dark comedy.
Okay, good. All right, so if that's a dark comedy, what should I pair it with? Remember the Titans.
Oh, okay. Yep, I've never seen that. I heard a lot about it, though.
It is about time that you see that one. I know you're not a big sports guy, but I believe
not a big
this
sports guy.
movie
I'm one of those people who I'm one of those people who basically I saw Rudy, and that's basically my extent of sports movie knowledge. That's it.
Rudy was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fairly certain Remember the Titans is my favorite.
Okay, I guess League of Their Own counts as a sports movie technically, so maybe I'll add that one to the ones I've seen.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, it's baseball with crying.
Yeah. With Gina Davis, okay? It's baseball with Gina Davis, all right? It's not it's more of a Gina Davis movie than it is a baseball movie.
Gina Davis, Bill Pullman, Rosie O'Donnell, who?
Madonna?
Tom Hanks. Madonna, right. Who else? I mean, that
Tom
was a
Hanks.
star-studded cast. I am correct there, right? Bill Pullman played her husband, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. It's been
Directed by Penny Marshall.
Yeah, it's been a long time, so yeah. All right, so next week is going to be Buffalo 66 and Remember the Titans. We'll see you next week.